Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
We had a post-mortem for our last game, and it came up that I was afraid to talk to our lead programmer most days because he was terrifying, and he was like, good, I'm glad I instilled that in you. That's something that I'd like to continue in our relationship, is that never touch or do anything without my permission.
Oh, what's up, everyone? This is Joe. This is the SML podcast, episode number 208. Doing some interviews today, and first up on the list is Alex Preston of Heart Machine. Alex, how are you doing?
I am okay.
Just okay?
Yeah, it's been a very stressful launch week.
Yeah, I was going to say, your product just came out, and based on your company's name, Heart Machine, I'm guessing it's a new line of pacemakers.
Yes. Yep, I fabricated my own pacemakers. They're newer, they're wireless, it's great. Super high tech.
What kind of battery life do they have?
3,000 years. First of its kind.
3,000 years.
Yeah,
the
it makes
pacemaker
you immortal.
that will far outlive the dying person it's implanted in.
Well, if you're lame and you die early.
Yeah, what kind of puss dies in the first 3,000 years?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, for real, you just released your game Hyper Light Drifter this week, correct?
That is true. Well, we released it back in March on PC, but we just released it for PS4 and Xbox this week.
Okay, for the people who don't know what the game is, do you want to give us the sales pitch on it?
It is a game where you kill a lot of things, but really it harkens back to 16-bit overhead action RPGs like Zelda, Secret of Mana, and good stuff like that, but with a lot of modern twists and a lot more fast-paced and smooth, not so clunky like some of those old games.
Sounds good. I've been pouring a bunch of time into it. Had some issues with my PS4 this week due to a nice thunderstorm that came by, but I played the PS4 version at a friend's house for a little bit, and I enjoyed it so much I actually came home and bought the Xbox version so I could keep playing it without having to go to a friend's house.
Oh, awesome. Great.
So I've been having a blast with the game. It is an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous game. I'll get that out of the way right now. A lot of pixel graphic games don't have like a super unique sense of style to it, but the color palette in this game, the animations, it's just a beautiful game.
Yeah, we put a lot of effort into every aspect of it, so I'm glad that it shines through.
Absolutely. What is the story of this game? Because I will come out right away and admit I'm confused as fuck as to what's going on in this game. That's
the point. Really, I mean, the story is there for you to kind of interpret for yourself, to find out for yourself. All the elements are there. It just takes some deciphering, and it takes some. We require effort on the part of the game player, and that can be a tough ask for some people, and for others not. It depends on what you want to get out of it.
Some people need everything spoon-fed to them, if I could talk today.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that too. But really, it's, everyone's different. And I don't begrudge anybody who's like, oh, the story's not for me because I don't get it and because you don't explain certain things. And that's fine. I totally get it. It can be esoteric. It can be obtuse. And that's the way we had designed it because we wanted people to dig into it. So... again, it just depends on what type of player you are. It depends on what type of person you are when it comes to storytelling, and you may enjoy that and you may not, and it's totally fine either way.
What little I've seen of the story so far, I am incredibly intrigued to find out more, just because the visuals in the opening cutscene, the fact that the entire story when you talk to people is all told in still images instead of text.
Right.
It's just such beautiful imagery while being pant-shittingly freaky.
Yeah, it can be freaky. The game's a little deceptive about its dark nature just because it's pixel art and it's small little cartoon characters, and so you don't necessarily suspect that it's going to have a lot of dark angles to it and an undertone like that, but it does, and it can get very disturbing at times.
Yeah, the first time I saw those giant mechanical Titan creature things, that was really, really cool. The fact that you have an art print for sale on Fangamer of the massive mechanical Titans, like, I'm ready to drop $15 on that thing.
Yeah, that was one of the first images that I actually made for the game way back in 2013. So it's worked well as a promotional image, and a key moment in the opening scene.
Yeah, I saw that the Kickstarter for the game originally started back in 2013. What all were you guys doing for the past 3 years that it took so long for the game to finally come to release?
Making a video game. That's exactly what we're doing. I think there's a better understanding now from a lot of people that aren't in video games, that have certain expectations about when games come out, that it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of work, regardless of your team size. From one-man teams to a team like ours, which is like basically 5 people overall full-time, to even large games like Assassin's Creed, where it's thousands of people across the world working on those games. But there's so much that goes into a video game, because you have to think about the visual, you have to think about the sound design, you have to think about the soundtrack, you have to think about the story that goes into it, and then you have to think about this interactive element and level design and all this other stuff that you don't in other mediums. So it's combining all these things, and it's incredibly complicated. So in order for stuff to be good and to be polished, it takes quite a while. It takes years. It takes years and years and years. And we made a very big experience, a bigger experience than we even expected to be able to accomplish. So it took longer, and we wanted to make a polished product, and we think we did, and we're glad that we spent the time doing that. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't see that, how much time and effort it really takes to make games, because we're used to a certain cycle where, Ubisoft or whoever else, Activision, announces a game at E3, and it's like, cool, it's going to be out in like a year. And that's because they've been already working on it for 2 years behind the scenes, at least, because they have a different cycle, But for us, this is our first game. We announced it, and it was like, okay, it'll probably take us this long, and it didn't. And it took longer, which, surprise, almost every video game takes longer than they think it will. It's just they have already been sitting there on that video game for years without announcing it. And we kind of did that in reverse, because Kickstarter was our way of getting funding. We didn't have a publisher. So we didn't say to the publisher, we need more time. We said to the public, who already knew about this game and were excited about it, we need more time. This happens for a lot of Nintendo games, because they delay it on both ends, where it's like internally they're working on it for years, and then they announce it thinking like, yeah, we can make it, and then they always delay it down the line because they want to polish their games. And so it just takes a lot of time and effort to make video games, is really the bottom line. And it's not like we were resting on our laurels since we launched that Kickstarter and booted it off. It was like the day after that thing ended in late 2013, we were full-time, full blast for the entirety until we released, and on PC in March. And since then, it hasn't stopped. Been doing the console ports for PS4 and Xbox pretty much non-stop. And even now, after the ports are out, still working. So
to be clear, there were no drug-fueled yacht parties.
I mean, we had a release party when we did the PC thing for a night.
But was it on a yacht?
It was not on a yacht. We just, it was at an open space. It was really nice and small. And then the next day we went back to work, because we had a shitload of stuff to do. So it just take a fucking lot of work, man. That's really it. And again, I think the general public is starting to understand that, and I wouldn't expect them to know that, because they don't work on video games. Just like I don't know how long certain things take when it comes to other industries that I'm not in. It's like there's an awareness now, because we've been able to engage with people through Kickstarter and through whatever social media we use, and just be like, hey, this is what we're doing. Being transparent about the process has really helped bring into the limelight what goes into it and how much heart and soul goes into it and how much energy, just pure raw energy and man hours goes into making every little thing happen in a video game.
You said it was a team of 5 people, right?
Full time, yeah. We had a few different freelance contractor people here and there for different parts of the game, but ultimately it was like 5 people at the core that were always there full time.
Nice. And did you have like an office setting, or was it just like working out of a basement?
No, we had a shared office
factory
space
in China.
No, we had a shared office space called Glitch City that we had started a few years back. So it was already there, and we were already working out of that with other indie devs.
Now, anyone that we might know that you guys were partnering up with?
We didn't partner up with anybody. It's just
worked alongside.
Yeah, as a shared office space. Ben Esposito is making Donut County. Brendan Chung, who just released Quadrilateral Cowboy. Ben Vance, he just did Irrational Exuberance, that VR game on Vive or Vive or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and a few other guests here and there that hang out at the space. So it's been good there, and it's nice to be able to like share ideas and share stress and get feedback in a space with other indie devs that understand the shit that you're going through.
How do you share stress? Is that like a swear jar where when you get stressed out, you just pour your excess stress into a jar and then it's like take a penny, leave a penny kind of deal?
No, you just have sweaty massage circles.
Now we're talking. Let's talk about these sweaty massage circles.
No, that's all I can say about it.
Rule number 1 of sweaty massage circle is do not talk about sweaty massage circles.
Well, you can talk about it, and to the extent that you can say sweaty massage circle, but that's it.
Sounds fair. I gotta respect the privacy of the sweaty massage circles.
Yeah.
That is a great tongue twister, by the way. I don't know how many more times I could say that without stumbling over it.
It's probably one of those difficult things to say 5 times fast.
I'm not going to try on the show. Normally I would try, but my mouth is just
try.
It's just not up to speed today.
The words will lose all meaning.
So, are you calling from a wind tunnel, by the way? Because I hear a lot of wind over the line.
I'm calling from outside. I like to be in the sun when I talk on the phone because I'm inside constantly. So it's like my one opportunity to be outside in nature. So I'm sorry if it's windy, but hey, nature.
It's not that bad. What's the weather like out there?
It's very hot. I'm in Southern California, and heat. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I try to avoid that. I'm in Pennsylvania, and normally, like, Pennsylvania summers aren't too horrible, but this past week, it's been like Satan's asshole over here.
Well, hey, guess what? Year after year, it's getting hotter. I wonder why.
Gee, I don't know. Clearly too many hot fire video games coming out.
Probably.
Too much. Can't handle it. The world cannot handle the straight fire of the video games coming. It's probably Firewatch. The game Firewatch, we're going to blame them.
Yeah, let's blame them.
I mean, they have the word fire in the title.
Yeah, and their name is Campo Santo. What a bunch of guys and girls.
Dicks. How could they?
I don't know how they could, but they did.
So the story of this game, the history of it, apparently comes from your dreams and nightmares over the years. What kind of fucked up drugs have you done to dream of the things that you've dreamt to inspire this game?
I've done plenty of drugs, just like plenty of other kids have in their day. And plenty more just because my health sucks. So, I've had lifelong, very dangerous health problems that have handicapped me throughout life. And I've been in and out of hospitals, and a lot of doctors and have seen me. And I have more than my share of terrible problems, chronic illnesses. So that's where a lot of the nightmare side comes from.
Damn. That's pretty crazy.
Yep. Damn.
Is anything that you're open to talk about? Like anything? I don't want to pry too much.
I've talked about it plenty in the past. I don't have any qualms with that. I've had a heart condition, congenital heart condition, meaning that, I had it since I was born. And that's been a pretty heavy burden throughout my life, and will continue to be. Probably it will kill me at some point. And then just a lot of other problems that stem from that and from my genetic condition. And we talked about pacemakers. Like, yeah, I actually do have a pacemaker.
I was just going to ask if this is going to come full circle to you having a pacemaker.
I do. So yeah, it's tons of fun stuff. Never ending slew of diseases and other problems, subsidiary problems due to, or like compounded problems because I have this issue, and of course that issue stems up. And oh look, now your cholesterol is fucked, so you have to do all these different things and go on this medication. So yeah, it's my body is just a joy to live with. Man.
That's tough to hear, but it sounds like it's not holding you back too much with putting this game out.
It has and it hasn't. It's a good motivator, but it's also, I literally cannot do anything some days. So it does actually prevent me from doing things quite often, but I do the best I can.
I feel bad for asking about that now.
You should feel terrible about
such
it.
An asshole.
No, I don't give a shit. It's open knowledge, and I have no qualms about talking about it, because I think more people should be able to open up about health challenges and disability. It's something that people are afraid to even speak about or let people know about, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have such a healthcare crisis in the country. Not to get political or anything, but just coming from a standpoint where I've experienced this stuff firsthand, just from a societal standpoint, an awareness of illness, chronic illness and disease, it's pretty lacking in our everyday conversations and who we care about and who we can support.
Do you have good health care, or are you being taken care of well?
Well, I think the better question is, does anybody really have good health care in this country beyond like super rich people or senators or stuff like that?
Very fair.
So I have health can afford, but I wouldn't say it's good health care in comparison to the rest of the world that gets actual good health care. Like we have some of the best doctors, but you can't schedule things with them because your insurance will deny you if you need this critical procedure because they don't want to pay for it. If you want to pay for it, go ahead, but that's going to cost you $300,000, and that's not an exaggeration, or $1 million, and that's not an exaggeration. I mean, the biggest cause of bankruptcy in this country is healthcare, health problems. And it's because our costs are out of control because our whole system is just completely fucked. So, yeah, I mean, does anybody have really good healthcare in this country? I don't think that's something you can actually say unless, again, money is no object to you.
Yeah. I had something as small as having my gallbladder taken out, and that was, God, I want to say like $186,000.
Yeah. That's just fucking ridiculous.
It's insane. And even better is the fact
fucking broken.
The surgeons actually fucked up my surgery and sliced open my liver.
Oh, great.
I was rushed back for emergency surgery 3 times, and apparently some politician in my state like a week or 2 prior died from the same situation that I had.
Sweet. Did you get charged for the extra surgeries?
Yes, of course I did.
Fuck yeah, America.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Yeah.
America.
So yeah, I mean, as a person who has experienced lifelong, very severe problems with his health, I've had to go through this system more than I have ever wanted. Just a lot. And it's just broken. It's straight up broken. There's no like, we can fix this, we can patch this, we can do that, we can blah blah blah. And like whatever side of the argument of Republican versus Democrat you're on, like I don't give a shit. This fucking program is broken as hell.
What was the South Park thing? Douchebag versus turd sandwich.
It's something like that.
It's shit versus shit. It's always gonna be shit.
Well, yeah, it's just like there's not even really an argument here. It's not even a political issue between parties. It's just like our system has been so broken for so long, and just it's out of control. And so many people die because of it. Like, just straight up die. It's life and death. It's not even a trivial matter of like, oh, well, the new taxes, blah, blah, blah. Arguments about financials or anything like that. It's no, people's lives hang in the balance because our healthcare system is so fucked up.
It's shitty. It's a shitty system.
It's super shitty. And it doesn't work for a lot of people. And while it may be world class with our doctors, that doesn't serve us well when most of those people go bankrupt or don't even go in to see the doctor because they can't afford it in the first place.
Yeah. I guess any kind of silver lining to this is that your experiences have helped fuel the design of this game and the story of this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has. And it's made me an angrier person.
How long was the story in your head before the game came together?
What do you mean?
Like, how long were the images of these horrific scenes in the game of like the death and the destruction? Because you said they come from your dreams and nightmares over the years. Like, is this stuff you thought about as a kid that you just kind of like jotted down, or that has just stayed
it comes
with
from
you?
all sorts. It stems from a lot of places and from childhood and beyond. I mean, a lot of influences from good anime, Miyazaki stuff, and then the nightmare stuff, of course, comes from experiences I've had as a child and wanted to formulate into something that I could express visually in a game. So it's a whole mix and host of things coming together from throughout childhood and adulthood.
What made you decide to go with Kickstarter to get the game together?
It was really the only option that I felt was viable at the time. Like, I had never made a game before. And I didn't really want to seek out a publisher because I didn't know any. And all of my other friends in the industry were indie devs and they were doing it themselves. And I had seen other Kickstarters be successful from no names, just from a good concept. It was like, cool, it's an idea that people might like, and I can fund my project. And, my expectation wasn't like, I'm going to get $645,000,000. My idea was like, cool, I'll get the money that I need to make my little small project, but it kind of blew up. So
because 2013, that was still kind of when Kickstarter was fairly new, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kickstarter had been going on for a couple years before that. And the biggest ones were like Double Fine's projects. And I think Double Fine was like the first one to break $1 million for their project. So the bubble was there. Like, I was in that bubble because I was right around the time when Mighty Number 9 was doing its campaign. And then Way Forward was doing its Shantae video game as well. So, we were the top 3 at that time for Kickstarters. And then shortly after that, the bubble started to not pop, but just kind of drain out because
kind of deflate a bit.
The balloon deflated a little, and it has since deflated more just because it's harder to get funded on there if you're a smaller project, because I think people are more wary now. And it's unfortunate that projects like that bigger projects have flopped or not delivered, because then that makes everything else look bad. And so I've tried to be a good patron for the site that has really, allowed us to make this game. And of course, first and foremost, as good as I can humanly be to our backers, because they're the people that put the money into it. So, that's why this week has been stressful. A couple of the systems failed for launch on consoles for backers specifically, that I wasn't able to get them everything that they had asked for as soon as I had wanted to. So it's been a steady stream of me fixing problems over the past couple days where it's getting fixed. People are getting their codes, but I wanted to get them their code the day before launch so that there was no problems and I could just sit back and be like, cool, I got everything done. There's always going to be emails, but it's not going to be overwhelming. But instead, stuff got screwed up on different ends of the equation, and I've been fixing for the past few days, and it's been stressful, and it sucks that people don't have their codes when they were supposed to get them. So
was it like a code
doing
issuing
everything
problem,
I can.
a distribution problem?
It's some distribution problems with our platforms, with some of the platforms that we're on, and with our own internal platform, with BackerKit, and like setting up different rules and whatever else. Like, it's just there's issues on both sides of that, and even like I've made a mistake or two that cost a couple hundred backers late codes, because we have a lot of backers to deal with. We have tens of thousands, and so things won't be imperfect, and it's just me doing. It comes me and I have some support, but it's a very limited team that's handling this stuff, so it becomes more difficult.
Yeah, I've been looking over your campaign, 24,000 backers. Did you ever think that it would blow up the way it did?
No. My expectation was that I'd be able to make my original asking and maybe double that, which was, the original was 27,000. I was like, cool, yeah, maybe I could make like 60K or something like that, and that'd be enough to carry me for a year or two. And
instead you got 645,000.
Right, yeah, so I did not expect that at all. I only had a certain range of expectations, like it could fail or it could be more successful than I hoped it would be. And that was beyond what I had kind of scoped for.
I gotta say, I'm incredibly disappointed I didn't know about this game when it was on Kickstarter. I've kind of tried to stay away from Kickstarter because the few times that I would go on there and look, I'd be like, oh my god, I want this, 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 I want this. And at the time, you mentioned Shantae and Mighty Number 9. Those were the only two I was really looking at, and I made the choice to only back one of them, and thankfully I went with Shantae over Mighty Number 9. Because I think we all know how Mighty Number 9 turned out. But I wish I knew about Hyper Light Drifter, because the rewards that you were offering, I would have happily backed to get the Super Nintendo style box and the softcover art book. Those look amazing.
Yeah, well, you can still get to the art books on Fangamer. But the box was a limited run thing. We may or may not do more of those with Animate. It depends on how these turn out and how many people actually want them. But I don't know. The Kickstarter was crazy, and there's a lot of stuff that I still have to do to fulfill all the different rewards on that. So it's been a very long process, and I have much work to do ahead of me for it. It's just, it can be stressful, and I understand why some Kickstarters fail, because a lot of games, most games don't get made. And that's kind of the reality of it, where you can start a project, whether you're a one-man team, a small indie team, a AAA game, like, people just don't see it. It just doesn't make headlines most of the time. When a game that's been announced, that's big and anticipated, gets canceled, sure, that makes the headlines, but that's much more rare. What commonly happens, whether it's Activision, EA, Ubisoft, whatever else, like, plenty of projects get started and just get canceled. Teams move on. The publisher says, all sorts of deals that people just never see. And then even more now, just indie devs, where they start a project, they're excited about it, but they've got a day job, they've got other opportunities, other responsibilities, and that just, after a year of development, it takes so long and so much time and effort and dedication to make a video game that they just never finish it. So really, it's like most games don't get made, and we're lucky that the games that do get made now actually come out, and that we have like kind of an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the amount of good quality games that are out there, and also an embarrassment of shovelware on mobile and all this other shit, and just horrifying clones. But still, it's like, it's never been a time to play video games and be a gamer, because holy shit, man, we have so many fucking good games out there.
Yeah, and speaking of good games, yours is pretty fucking good. How's the reception been on PC so far? Because that came out a while ago.
It's been good. It's been really good. I'm the type that always worries and always kind of hates his work after the fact, or guesses it, or like try that, or just straight up like, no, it's not good enough. So it's reassuring in ways to see that it's been received a while, but I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then suddenly everybody turns and is like, fuck this game, it's always been terrible.
That hasn't happened with this one yet? No angry mob changing their mind?
No angry mob. No angry mob yet.
That is a definite positive.
It is a positive.
I hear a puppy.
That's my dog, Tetris.
Oh my god, your dog's name is Tetris. That's amazing.
Yeah, she's a cute mutt. She's very cute.
That's adorable. I love that name. That is such a good name for a dog.
Hold on 1 second, sorry.
Take your time.
Okay, I'm back.
Trust me, I know about animals disturbing interviews. I live with a veritable herd of cats, and routinely I'll have cats jump up on me during the show, headbutting the microphone. Some of the streams we've done, I'll just turn the camera onto them because they'll be sleeping on my desk, and that always gets a few extra good views.
Cats do sleep a lot.
I think the only game name cat that we have is Coltrane.
Coltrane?
Yes.
That's a good name for a cat.
Because she is a tiny little kitten. She is the smallest cat that we've had. That's not one of our current kittens. And yeah, she's adorable. So a tiny female kitten named after a gigantic hulking black man. It's fitting.
That's suitable.
Yes, very much. And then I guess the closest is we have another one now named Predator. But that's more of a movie reference.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Pets are great.
Pets are great. And also full of fur.
Any other pets besides the dog?
No, not right now. Just the one dog, luckily. I think that's enough for me.
Yeah, I wish I could have said that about the cats we had. They just keep coming. They won't stop showing up.
I have enough responsibility in my life, you know.
Oh man, so how's the console reception been so far? I know it's only been out 2 days now.
Yeah, launched on technically Monday night or Tuesday early morning. It's been good. There's one or two weird issues with some saves here and there. It's like a handful of people that have had issues that have reached out to me, but you know, nothing terrible so far. The first couple days.
No systems exploding yet.
No systems exploding.
Got to patch that in.
No major crashes that I've seen so far. I think there's been some like weird one-off issues of like my cutscene didn't play, or my save file got corrupted, or it won't launch here. But it's like 5 people basically out of, you know, however many know my email address or Twitter account or can reach out in some form or another. So, or that I've seen online. So far it's been good, and whatever issues come up, you know, we'll patch it up.
So you're definitely focusing on keeping the game working and functioning well? Are you looking into
we're just gonna abandon it entirely. And say,
you're gonna mighty number 9 it.
Oh no.
Release it to the masses and then never acknowledge it again.
Oh no, I mean, we have a lot of responsibility to the people that play our game, you know, and I think any developer does, and I don't want to leave them behind. Like, if people have problems, I try and address it as quickly as I can. It's like, I answer every fucking email myself, basically. It's like, I don't have a person sitting here answering emails for me, whether it's Kickstarter backers or people who have purchased the game on Steam and now PS4 and Xbox. It's like, I'm going through all the emails. I'm sorting through whatever bugs and seeing the priority of the stuff and seeing what we can and cannot fix and how quickly we can fix things. So console's a little different because it takes a while to get a patch through their whole process.
Yeah, with the certification and all that fun stuff.
It's like you have to go through a thing in order to patch it, and that can take a little while. Take weeks depending. Usually it's not too bad, and it's much quicker these days. But you know, Steam's much easier. It's like, yep, load up a build, do it yourself, done. If it's broken, take it down, load up the old build. Shit, we fucked up. And we've done that a number of times where it's like, yeah, this build's great, and then it breaks it for a bunch. It breaks one thing in it for a bunch of people that we didn't even think about, or that, you know, it's like there's a cascading effect, and you have to be careful about what things you do and do not fix.
I guess that's one of the downfalls of having to create a game and have it work on thousands of combinations of machines.
Right. So while console is more difficult to push through initially, it's easier to troubleshoot because everyone has the same hardware and configuration, usually, unless they're like on older versions of software. But even then, like, it's pretty minimal. The configurations it's pretty much you're always going to have a PS4 and you're always going to have an Xbox. But PC and Mac and Linux, like, that opens up, an infinite number of combinations, really, because somebody could have some weird peripheral plugged in that then gets recognized as a controller, and like, why doesn't my controller work, which has happened a lot. And we're like, do you have something else plugged in? Yes. Well, we don't account for that because we can't. And so it's like any number of crazy issues, or people just have like different resolutions on their screens that just are not a thing, or they have with TVs where it's a completely different aspect ratio.
This doesn't work on my 9-monitor setup.
Well, it does. It will be my monitor. Might not be on the monitor that you want it on.
It only shows up on 7 of them.
Well, that's the thing, too, with PC, where, you know, because people have so many different configurations and preferences for how they want to configure things, we can't possibly account for all that. Where it's like, why didn't you have this mode in here for me? And it's like, well, dude, we only have like 5 people working on this. I'm sorry that we're not a huge 1,000-man team that can make a million options in there. It's like, we're doing the best that we can.
How dare you not be a million-man organization?
Right. So
why aren't you tough. Ubisoft?
No, I would love to have a lot of different configuration options for all the different configurations out there, but it's just not possible. It's not going to happen. You know, it's where we're not that team.
So what's next for you guys? Are you looking into any additional content for this game, or a new game, or is this just like fix what we can and take a goddamn break time?
I'm not really the type to take a break, so I'm already on to the next project in like planning phases. But you know, I have been trying to get the console versions out, so that has taken up 99% of my time. Are the ports, and then we still have stuff to fulfill for Kickstarter, and of course, Hyperlight is not over yet. And I don't, I won't say DLC is out of the question or anything like that, but no plans at the moment. I'm just, again, still trying to get all the things fulfilled that I wanted to get fulfilled with it.
Sequel, franchise, movies, TV show?
I won't say no to any of those, but I don't know. I don't have any. I'm just trying to get the game out and make it as good as polished as possible. So,
Hyper Light Drifter Match 3 puzzle on mobile.
Oh God, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Are you working on any other ports for it? I've seen in the Kickstarter mentions of Wii U. Is that still happening?
So there's Vita and Wii U, and we have actively been digging into that stuff over the past bunch of months after we shipped our PC version. And I'll have more announcements on the Kickstarter once the dust settles on PS4 and Xbox stuff, so that I can at least take like a breather before I get back into some things. So, it's more info to come on those things.
Any thoughts on an NX version for when that releases, or an enhanced upgraded version for the PS4 Neo or the Scorpio when those roll around?
Yeah, we're going to do an enhanced version that's full 3D. And no, I mean, we're not going to enhance anything on it. The only thing that people have asked for is 60 frames per second, but that's a whole other crazy argument that I don't want to go down that tunnel again. But other than that, like
first-person VR support.
Yes, we're going to be on the Vive and PSVR.
Google
We're going to go
Cardboard.
First-person pixels. It's going to look like Wolfenstein.
We laugh, but I'm sure people out there would be like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest game ever! This is exactly what I wanted."
If that's exactly what they wanted, great. It's not going to get made. Sorry.
Oh man. So what do you play when you're not making your own games?
I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, which is no down. 5 minutes here or there, a couple of rounds. It's easy to pick up and just as easy to put down. So it's simple and straightforward. That's about it, really. Still haven't finished The Witcher 3 because that's 1,000 trillion hour game that, while I very much enjoy it, can just be a bit of a slog sometimes.
I don't think you can beat The Witcher 3. I don't think there is an ending. Once you complete all the quests, it just...
keep releasing more DLC for it, so it might right.
I didn't hear that. You broke up a little bit.
Oh, I said they keep releasing DLC for it, so you may be right that they'll never finish that game.
It's sad that they stopped. Like, I wonder if they're just kidding, and then in like 4 months they're going to be like, ha, suckers, here's new DLC. It's never going to end.
Guys, CD Projekt Red, they're super dedicated to their craft and to their fans, and I admire them above pretty much every other games company these days, where even with The Witcher 3's shortcomings and flaws, or things that I don't like about it, it's still an immensely polished and enjoyable game. And all the amount of love and just like pure raw energy and craft that went into it, and it's just like it beams through in every aspect of that game. So, and they're very communicative and open about how they develop games and why they do the things they do, and they've supported it a whole lot after release. So fucking major respect to them and how they operate.
And I love the fact that they seem to go the extra mile for the people who buy their games.
I mean, they go the extra like 70 miles for everybody that buys their games. So, I'll continue to support them just because of how good they are to their fan base. And it's a rarity to see that kind of stuff. Like there's not that many companies that I can say like, oh yeah, they engage that well with their fans and they maintain their game and they respect their player.
Yeah, most
crappy games companies out there, but it's just like, I guess they choose to spend their resources in different ways for different games companies, or they have a different mindset. Or you look at a lot of like Japanese companies or even Nintendo, where it's like they're kind of divorced from their fan base a lot of the time, where it's like they release a game and then there's no real engagement afterwards. And that's fine. That can be perfectly fine. But I admire what CD Projekt Red does, and I like that kind of development. And I've tried to do the same with our fans. It's like, yeah, I'm answering all the emails. I feel a responsibility for this game and for how it does afterwards, because of course I am. And then it's like I just want to continue to engage with people in a meaningful way. So.
Another thing I love about CD Projekt Red is people enjoyed Gwent so much that they just made a fucking Gwent game next. Its own standalone Gwent game.
Sure. I don't think it was a hard thing to convince a part of that team to be like, hey, look, people make a shitload of money. Geez, let's also make ours off of one that's really solid in a game anyway.
I wonder how many people picked up The Witcher just for Gwent.
I don't think a lot of people picked it up for that, but I'm sure a lot of that. That's awesome. So, there was Geometry Wars back in Project Gotham Racing. And
oh, God,
that was
yeah.
a bonus, and that ended up being way better than Project Gotham Racing. Not that Gwent is way better than The Witcher, but it's still, like, it's a super fascinating card game. And, like, why not break it out in its own thing?
And then next up is going to be the Hyper Light Drifter card game, collectible card game.
I won't say no to that.
So what kind of tips and advice do you have for people who are just picking up Hyper Light Drifter, especially for those out there who think that they can do the one-shot achievement the first time they play it?
Ooh, I mean, if you can, I want to see that video.
Because I tried, and I was like, I'm gonna be cautious, and I'm gonna be, I'm gonna take my time. And then I got surrounded by like a dozen enemies who would hit me for 2 hit points each, and that ended really quick.
Yeah. My advice is just be cautious, be wary. Know that you can die easily. Don't be. That's it. Just be careful, and I guess above all, be observant. Again, we request a lot of the player when it comes to paying attention to the environment, to find secrets, paying attention to enemies and how they react and their patterns and all that. Like the game is not that hard, really. If you just give it the respect that it deserves with your attention, then it'll be an easier time for you. But yeah. That's kind of that's like the biggest, broadest way that I can advise people to proceed.
Is there anything hidden in the game that people haven't found yet? Because I know PC gamers have a good while to check it out. Is there anything that's still undiscovered?
Yes, but it's one of those things that's really like you have to hack through files to get to it. So, on PC, all of our files are exposed, and people have already hacked together a boss rush mode, which is great. That's fantastic. But there's actually a couple of old, like rough bosses that we left in certain rooms that are inaccessible in the game itself, but they're in the files. They're there. But somebody somewhere just has to figure out how to link that stuff together to get it to play. We don't provide a way to do that because we just left it in because, you can't, if you fuck with room order and all, like there's programming stuff that's like, if we deleted those things, it would have caused more headache than just to leave them in.
Yeah.
So they're there. And I know people have discovered some of these other rooms in there and have actually walked around in them and be like, oh, we found your old developer rooms, or like the enemy museum and all that stuff. So like, I'm surprised that they have not found a couple of the other ones. So we'll see. But other than that, as far as like the actual playable game, I'm pretty sure people found everything in it by now. It wasn't, there's some secret stuff in there, but it's not like Fez style with that big black cube or whatever that was just uncrackable for months and months and months and months.
Or like those secret stars that are in braid.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's some stuff in there, and maybe I just haven't seen it that people haven't found very often, or like only one person has found, but yeah, there's a lot of people out there with dedication and time on their hands, and as a community, it's easy to riff through stuff. I mean, you see what they did with Dark Souls 3 when that came out. Like, there were guides for that within a week, like in-depth stuff about every aspect of that game. So, I these days with the dedication that people have and like the amount of communication instant communication and collaboration, it's really hard to bury stuff. Really, really hard to keep secrets anymore.
I appreciate the fact that the new thing with Dark Souls is just re-texture mapping everything. Like on Reddit, the new thing is someone is playing Dark Souls 3 where all the textures have been replaced with faces of Nicolas Cage.
Oh no.
Like, why?
I haven't seen that. That's horrifying.
Someone did it where all the textures were crabs. Like, what? I don't get it. I
kind of... it's just because you can. You don't have to get it. It's just, they can do it, so why not? It's hilarious. It's great. I love it. It's fun. It's super great. It's good for a laugh, and like I didn't have to spend the time doing it. I got to see a screenshot or video of that kind of thing. Awesome.
So you clearly just need the crab texture DLC pack for your game.
Yeah, it's true. We do.
All the enemies turn into giant enemy crabs.
Yeah.
With a massive
good call.
Weak point.
Oh, gosh. And on that note...
Yeah, on that note, Alex, it has been great chatting with you. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and chat with us about the game. The game is absolutely fantastic. If people want to keep up to date on what you're doing, how can people stay in touch with you?
You can follow on Twitter where I yell at the sky at HeartMachineZ, like Dragon Ball Z. Or they can go to our website, heartmachine.com. Also, if you're a Kickstarter backer, you already get those backer updates, and that's it, really.
The game is amazing, and I thank you for coming on and chatting with us.
I
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for talking with us. Have a good one, Alex.
Being a programmer is a stressful job, you know.
I wouldn't know. I'm just some schmuck who talks into a microphone.
You know, that can be a stressful job, too.
I could pretend.
Right. I'm always afraid of being possessed and controlled by ghosts over the internet. So, I mean, right now you can't see it, but I've got a bunch of candles and incense going just so that nothing comes through the headphones into my brain.
Nice.
Yeah.
On that note, welcome back to the show, everyone. I am joined by a new guest at this time, calling all the way from Canada, Ethan Maddix. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. And hello, everybody out there on the internet.
How's Canada treating you?
Canada's nice. It's really sunny right now. Global warming is doing great things for our tourism.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a little tough. The igloos are a little slushy. I don't know what you... Oh, yeah. Get that beer. Nice. The office is... it's Friday, so we're drinking.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at my desk with cats, so... We're both living large, living large, man.
Living large. They're the fluffiest of company. They're lovely.
So you are from the company, is it Whitebox Games or Whitebox Interactive? Because I'm seeing conflicting information solely on your Twitter page, actually.
Yeah, okay. So everybody in the office calls it Whitebox Games. Our corporate name is Whitebox Interactive, but I didn't know that for a long time. I was always just like, yeah, we're Whitebox Games. Like, no, somebody else has that. We're Whitebox Interactive.
Because even the copyright on your site says copyright Whitebox Games.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's not true. We have one of these consistent battles where our CEO is like, oh, there we go, beer. I believe this is Mexican beer, not Canadian beer. It's still good, though. Yeah, our CEO is always trying to put on a really strong corporate face, which I was like, aren't we like very indie? Doesn't that sort of like clash with our image? And he's like, well, we seem professional. And I'm like, I don't think we do either way. So why even try?
Professional is just weird. I tried it once.
It's overrated.
Yeah, we went back to dick jokes really quick.
Yeah, come on. You can either be an adult or you can make hilarious dick jokes. I'll choose dick jokes any day of the week.
Sounds good to me. Speaking of hilarious stuff, you guys are making a game. I tweeted about it on our podcast Twitter account because when I first saw the name of the game, it blew my mind that something like this, A, hasn't existed before, and B, is being made, and it's actually a thing. You are making Bear versus Methlab.
Yes. Please continue.
For the people who might not know what such a cryptic title would mean, give us the sales pitch of this game. What is Bear versus Methlab?
Well, I like the nice, concise, it's like Mario Party, except set in the meth lab, and you're bears.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's a 4-player party game where you compete with your friends, and it's set in the meth lab, and it's basically a series of destruction-based minigames, so you just, like, wreck shit up.
Nice. I normally ask this question to a lot of the people we interview, and 90% of the time, it's a joke. I have a feeling this is going to be that other 10%.
Okay.
What drugs were you on when you thought of this idea?
I mean, obviously weed. Goes without saying. But I mean, like, the thing is like, what drugs was I on? Is that as important a question as what drugs have I done to get me there? And the answer to that question is all of them.
No, anything you haven't done?
Nothing comes to mind right now. I've never shot up heroin. Caveat, shot up.
Oh, good lord.
There we go.
This is going to be a fun interview.
I hope so. I mean, I'm not on heroin right now.
Well, fuck that.
You know,
I was all excited for a minute that I was going to have, like, someone strung over on black tar heroin on the show, just, like, mumbling through an interview.
Mumbling, yeah. Just
but
like,
no, you got to be all coherent and...
Mr. Maddix? Mr. Man, you're like, get out of my room!
So now that it makes sense why you're talking about having incense and candles to prevent the ghosts.
Oh, yeah, no. First off, chase the ghosts away.
And second, chase the dragon.
I wish. It's always been my dream is to open an opium den. It's illegal, but, like, man, I would just run the best opium den. People could just stay there.
Technically, aren't most drugs illegal?
Yeah, we're working on it, though.
What's legal up in Canada?
You know, not weed, which is strange, but everybody's starting to care less about it, which is nice. We have a lot of places where you can buy weed, and I guess it's illegal, but nobody seems to care.
It's quote-unquote illegal.
Yeah. I think if you have a certain amount, it's illegal, but, you know, after things seem to work out well for Colorado, everybody's like, whatever.
Yeah, fuck it, why not, right?
Fuck it. Smoke your pie. You're not hurting anybody.
I gotta say, you guys have some squeaky chairs over there.
Oh my god. Yeah, sorry about that. That's me. It's like fidgeting. I wanted to be professional for this interview, so I didn't do my normal morning ritual of cup of coffee and bowl of hash. So I'm definitely like jittering.
The coffee to pick you up, the hash to calm you down?
Yeah, it's what we call a hippie speedball. Yeah. And you can replace coffee with a chai tea if you really want to, but I'm old school on that.
For the health conscious.
Yeah, for the health conscious.
Drug fanatic, I guess.
Those people. Yeah, I don't know. We don't invite them to the club.
Man, fantastic. So, Bear versus Meth. First off, I'm going to assume you've done meth.
Well, I think anybody who's, like, gobbled down a bag of sketchy press pills at a rave has done meth. That's my understanding of the
How many random pills have you taken?
Oh my god. So it was in like 2010 is the first time I went to a rave with a drug testing tent, and I got my drugs tested for the first time, and I was like, oh man, I never even thought about just all the times I went to like a sketchy place where somebody had like a gun on me and I bought a bag of unidentified things. So just like, thanks guys, it's party time. You know, things could have ended bad, but I guess I've been lucky.
Still alive.
Alive.
Probably lost a couple of years in the middle there, but
you know, life is about living. That's what I say.
I mean, if you get too old, things just start to suck anyway. So
yeah, no. I'm gonna do that thing they did in Little Miss Sunshine. I'm at like once 50 hits, It's heroin. I'll even wear a shirt about it. Actually, I've always wanted to go rogue. You know how like bears and like tigers, they get old and they just leave the pack and just go on a rampage? That's my retirement plan. I just want to go rogue.
All right, just please don't come to my area and start killing people because I want to live.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But, you know, we're around the same age. We go rogue together, you know? Like, you know, just get a bunch of, like, old dudes in a van, semi-automatic weapons, justice. I don't know.
We'll go to Nickelback concerts and just mow people down.
I know. I feel like I love joking about gun violence as much as the next guy, but it's just such a touchy subject these days. So I think everybody should just probably buy a gun.
By the way, thanks for Nickelback, by the way.
Oh, God, yeah. Justin Bieber. That's
you dicks.
Celine Dion.
You dicks.
Bryan Adams.
You dicks. I guess on the flip side, we have the Kardashians, so we're all kind of assholes in the end.
Actually, I'm an American. I'm from Boston.
Really? What
Yeah.
brought you to Canada then?
Oh, what?
That explains a lot.
Yeah, it explains a lot right there. In fact, right on any given day, John is the only Canadian. Like, Adir is from Israel, Gonzalo's from Mexico, Francisco's from Mexico. I tell Willie he's from Mexico, but he's from Guatemala. And then yeah, Quinn and John are Canadians, and our sound team are Canadians, but we're a mismatch of different nationalities.
So you're like a fake Canadian studio.
Yeah, well, we're in Canada, but we get away with it because like Canada really likes to pride itself on being a mosaic culture, which is kind of like a melting pot, except nobody gets along. We just have really nice, like, as opposed to like, little Italy bleeding into like little Korea. It's like distinctly different areas where people don't talk to each other.
That's a beautiful way to put it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a rich tapestry.
So how did all you guys get together to form this studio?
So I don't know. So our last game that we made was a Warhammer game, and so we were all
really what game?
Dark Nexus Arena. You've never heard of it.
Sounds good.
Like many of the others, you can hear our story. We wanted to make a MOBA, so that was a thing. And I feel, out of all the people who made MOBAs and failed, which is everybody who made a MOBA that wasn't Smite or Dota or League, we spent probably the least amount of money to fail. Like, I feel bad for like the Gears of War guys and the one that EA made. They all spent millions, and we spent less than $1 million. So I really feel as though even though it wasn't a success, we didn't get totally fucked.
That's good, at least.
Yeah, that's my outlook. Like, we didn't get totally fucked.
So you went from a Warhammer MOBA to Bears versus Methlab.
Yeah, and we have a lot of fun making Bears versus Methlab. It's a passion project, It's one of those things where they're like, generally in video games, you gotta like follow a hierarchy, and we're like, no, fuck it, we're just gonna do shit that we want to do that we think is funny and we think is a good time. So that's Bear versus Methlab. That's our dream project.
That sounds like a really, really crazy fever dream of a game.
Only type of dream as I have. Crazy fever dreams.
So yeah, Warhammer MOBA. How did you guys get together? I think we were talking about something like that.
So we're all most of us went to school at the Vancouver Film School for game design.
All right.
And John was one of our teachers there, and they sort of started this project, and we just sort of one by one, walked in the door and didn't leave. That's just sort of like, hey John, give us a job, and he's like, well, I was like, give us a job, John. He's like, oh, okay, all right. I guess.
If you insist.
If you insist, I'm not going to pay you very much. I'm like, yeah, well, take it.
Sold.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm proudest of with Bear versus Methlab is that we've been able to do our game on almost a no budget, as all of our money went to our last project, which was not as successful as we would have liked it to be, i.e. made any money at all.
So how is this game coming together? Are you resorting to crowdfunding, or do you have backers, financiers?
We actually have most of it created. The thing about a passion project is you tend to put a lot of passion into it, a lot of hard time and work. But we're doing a Kickstarter right now to just sort of make it better, to add more to it. We're really about value for games, so we want to make a game that's like 10 or 12 bucks, but we want you to feel like you got a game that's worth 20.
Nice. Tell us about the Kickstarter.
It's a site where people give money to projects they would like to see get funded.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's this wild thing that apparently people aren't totally sick of yet.
Have you guys done Kickstarter before?
No, this is our first one. It's quite a learning experience. We all like to think that it looks professional, and we're pretty happy about that. It looks more professional than some of the ones we've seen. If we could get funded, that would be terrific, and we could do more. But that's up to the gods, who I've been praying to and sacrificing to every day.
They do like sacrifices.
They do. I think we all know the ones I'm talking about. It's just the ones that can't be named.
I mean, you can name them if you really want.
Not without having my tongue pulled out and then my eyes skewered and then lit on fire.
It's all about the small sacrifices, man.
It's all about the small sacrifices, yeah. Well, children are easy to throw in the ocean. They're light, you know what I mean? That's...
I love hearing the laughter in the background.
Yeah, totally. They're like
at the fucked up things you're saying.
Yeah, totally. That's every day, really.
Child murder is hilarious.
Yeah, well, so long as, the dark ones are pleased, it doesn't really matter.
Very, very true. Hey, whatever gets the game made, right?
Yeah, exactly. We all make sacrifices for success.
So, since this is a passion project, how long have you guys been working on it?
We've been working on this since early March, late February. We were sitting around one night drinking, and we were trying to figure out what direction we would go. We made the sad decision to sort of shut down the servers for our last game, even though all 7 of our fans were terrific people who we really cared about. But keeping servers on costs money, and so we're like, okay, we're going to take this last little bit and try something else, try a different direction, try something that we own as opposed to licensing something. And we spent hours coming up with these really creative ideas for like procedural generated games, and then I was just like, fuck it, let's make something called Bear versus Methlab. That sounds terrific. And thus we started.
So it was name before the game. It wasn't that you had the concept and you're like, how can we put a fun twist on this? You're like, you know what? Bear versus Methlab sounds like a fun game. Let's figure that shit out.
Well, I mean, when I came up with a name, I came up with the idea. It was just like, you play bears and you rampage through a meth lab.
That works.
That's a decent pitch. I haven't seen that, and I feel as though that people want to play bears. I think bears are a great character, especially for just how destructive they are. So we have bears up here, and I used to live in the interior, and so we have bears around the house, and you don't really think of like what a tornado of destruction they are until like they just like smash your shit. And with ease, too. You watch it. Like, I remember we had an apple tree in our backyard, and this bear walks up and he just, like, grabs a branch and just, like, sits down, and, like, the tree just rips in half. So, like, that thing just ripped a tree in half. That is an implement of destruction, and that has always sat with me as something that I would like to see more of. Destruction.
And what made you go with the party game route?
That was actually our artist. He's like, I think that's a terrible idea and you're an idiot, but we make it a party game, and you might have some there.
Nice. I put a couple hours into the game earlier today. It's still in very early alpha stage, clearly.
Yeah, that particular build is old at this point. We're refactoring the game right now to get a lot of bugs out, get more optimum performance, get the size and everything down, run smoother, and then adding stuff like AI so that you don't have to have 4 people to play with.
Yeah. Which I think that was my only real complaint of the build I played, is that some of the games required multiple people. Like the bear dodgeball was the one I played that I had to quit out of the game because I couldn't hit any other bears with the ball. Yeah.
And you were saying that your wife was asleep, and that's a thing I know all too well, is your partner's asleep, and you really just want to run in and like wake them up and be like, you gotta like watch this video or play this video game. No, I can't do it. I can't be that guy right now.
I did try getting one of my kittens to play. I plugged in a controller, sat it down next to him, and he just started chewing on the thumbstick, so that shit had to stop really quick.
Yeah, they're lazy bastards.
Little asshole cat.
Yeah, I know. I like them, though, as animals. I like an animal that you still love and you still feed, even though it's got a consistent, like, I don't care about your shit, and you're pissing me off kind of vibe.
Oh, is this an expensive statue? Guess what? I'm gonna knock it over, and there's nothing you're gonna do about it.
Yeah. You're probably gonna pet me and say I'm cute. Ah, it's true.
Oh, you're sitting doing a podcast and interviewing someone? Let me climb up your fucking leg right now. Yeah. Bean, you little bitch. Yeah, the 2 cats on my desk right now are Pork and Bean.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, and there's only 6 more running around this house. Yes, I'm a crazy cat lady.
Yeah. When I want their attention, they're never around. But when I'm doing something or working, that's when they're like, hey, what are you doing? Why don't I take up all of your space?
I was at Best Buy visiting a friend earlier today, and we were just showing her pictures of how the cats I have a little cat bed on my desk so that they'll stay the fuck away from the important stuff on my desk.
Yeah.
And instead I have pictures of them laying on my mouse cord, just sprawled across.
Yeah. It's because you gave them a space, and that means that they need to operate outside of that.
Yes, I gave them a space, so they need more.
They're like the NSA in that way.
Dicks.
Yeah, now that I've said that, they're flagged. They're listening to this podcast right now, which is actually something I do. You know, if I had a bad day or, I'm tired and I just need someone to talk to, I just like turn on my phone and say something like, ISIS firebomb 9/11, and then I know the NSA is listening, and I can they're great listeners. And
you were already talking about going on a murderous gun rampage earlier in the show. So I'm kind of hoping that works because we could use more listeners.
Yeah, right? And they are great listeners. Not just for us in America, but around the world. And I think that...
Answer your phone!
That's other people in the office. By the way, we share an office space with other people who are legitimate business people.
Oh, God. And you have such a potty mouth in front of them?
Oh, God. We play, like, Overwatch at lunch sometime, and I feel really bad sometimes, because it's like, suck that dick, justice, like, screamed across. It's like people...
Suck that dick.
Yeah.
And someone else is over on the other line, like, handling accounts and...
Yeah, they've got some, like, important business deal with, like, Milan or Tokyo or something.
So then the Guatemalan guy starts swearing in Spanish.
Yeah, we got a lot of swearing in Spanish, which people still understand. Turns out, puta, everybody knows what that means.
Yeah, that's a fairly common one.
Yeah.
Puta.
What other good Spanish cursing is there?
Hey Willie, what's some good Spanish? He's in his own world. Gonzalo, you got some good Spanish cursing you wanna say?
No.
He says no.
Váyanse todos a la verga.
I would repeat that, but I literally can't say those things. I have no idea what you said.
It's just,
We swear in Russian a lot. Things like Zakroyebala, Poyebala, Tuhuyar. What's another one? Yeah, you hear that? Quietly.
Quietly, yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah. So, various, I lived in China for a little while, so, things like, Ma Gulabi, Wuchanima, things like that.
And then you're from Boston, so you could just call people bastards.
Bastards. Hey. Fuck Todd, what are you doing? I like that. Especially when I start drinking, I get the accent real quick. People are like, you don't sound like you're from Boston. I'm like, well, I'm sober. It comes right out. I love Boston. It's everyone is so lovely, and then also sick of your shit at the same time. It's great. One of my favorite Boston stories is, and I feel it sums up Boston for me, is my friends were having a hotel party, and all of a sudden these dudes like kick in their door and just rush into the hotel room and start fighting them, and they're like, shit, and so they start fighting back, and they manage to fight these guys back to enough where they're like, what the fuck is your problem? And the guy's like, you're throwing shit at us. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're like, you were throwing shit from your hotel room and we're here to fuck you up. And they're like, we didn't throw anything. And they're like, is this room 514? And they're like, no, this is room 414. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry about that. Have a nice evening. And ran out the door. Love that.
That's
city.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good city.
One of these days I'll get up to Boston. I've never been there myself, but for all the times that we've had Harmonix on this show, I need to go up there and visit their studio.
Yeah, they're a lovely group of guys. Most are. I'm pretty excited that you met the Gigantic guys. I feel super bad for them. I feel bad for anybody who's in competition with Overwatch.
Yeah.
It's oof. Good luck, guys. Good luck. I'm rooting for you. I really am. I would not want to be in competition with Blizzard for anything.
Yeah, I honestly, and the funny thing is, so many people are playing Overwatch, and I still haven't played it.
It's good. As a designer, it's very, very well designed, so I really appreciate the way that everything balances out nicely when people aren't totally just gonna play Six Divas. When people are trying to actually play the game, it's really well balanced.
Didn't they change ranked so that you can't have more than one person?
Yeah, I think that was a solid move. That's a solid move.
So you can't have just one team of one person anymore.
Ranked is a little less fun for me. I like it, but it's so much more serious. It's pick up match. You're like, whatever. I can play. I can have a good time. But you're in a ranked match. It's the pressure's on. I can feel them hating me. I can feel the other people on the team, and they're saying bad things about me. I can't hear them, but I know they're saying it right now.
This motherfucker.
Fucking noob. Get off the internet. Yeah.
That's my life. In every competitive game that I ever try to play, I am the worst.
Yeah, no, I know. And, but we're both older than 30, so I feel as though we're in the clear. All we need to be is I'm 31, and they're like,
oh, okay, yeah, you're
whatever, old man.
Your video game skills have been deteriorating.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not cranked on Adderall, we don't want you on this team.
I think the only game I can still completely wreck people in is Tetris.
Oh my god, I'm so bad at Tetris.
I will always and forever just wreck people at Tetris.
I just try and make the Tetris blocks into a pretty picture as I fail horribly. That's my Tetris game. I used to like Dr. Mario. I still do. But in my mind, I was like, oh, you're throwing pills into a person's stomach. It's in a jar, but I like the idea that you're just like Dr. Mario. He's just take more pills. You haven't taken enough pills. And I'm like, that's a doctor who cares, right?
Yeah.
We're just going to cram you full of pills till you're fine.
That's the American way.
That's the American way. Yeah, absolutely.
America. Oh
Yeah.
my god. So, we kind of strayed off course of
We had
your
not
game a little
talked
bit.
about our game at all, which is, I guess, if my boss was here today, he would be upset with me. 'Cause this is a promotional, but I feel as though the best way to promote your game is to be likable. Like, as people are like, all right, like, you don't seem like a total asshole. Like, you probably make an alright game. As opposed to just trying to, like, desperately keep the conversation on my game so that you feel as though, like, I'm like, fuck, what was the name of the guy from Glengarry? Glenn Ross? Anybody watch that? No, of course not. Never mind.
I never saw it myself either.
Alright,
So.
it's worth watching just for Alec Baldwin's Coffee is for Closer speech. It's amazing. Totally recommend it. Yeah, anyway, you got this, the salesman who is, can't make a sale and is nervous and, like, it's bad. It's like, Gil from The Simpsons. I don't want to be that guy. Like, oh, play my game. It's really good. You'll love it.
Oh, come on, Gil. You can make the sale.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather have a joke interview where I don't talk about the game than have a shitty interview where I, like, sweaty palms try and not come across as, like...
You don't want to be Gil. You want to be Troy McClure.
That's every day of my life.
I'm Troy McClure.
He's so classy. Now all I'm going to think is how sad it is that Phil Hartman is dead.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest shames of comedy. Like, people like John Belushi, Chris Farley, like, you could see that coming because they were drug fiends, they were wild,
Yeah.
they were partiers, but Phil Hartman, his bitch of a wife just killed him and then herself.
Shot him to death in his bed, yeah. Totally.
Like, what a bitch. How... that pisses me off so much.
Yeah,
Such
I know.
a great comedian.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a sad day. I remember the Joe Rogan podcast. He was having a podcast with David Foley, and it's like, man, when I used to see a bad relationship, I wouldn't say anything. And it's like, and after you and Phil, I say shit now. And I was like, I get that. That's a fine. If one of your buddies gets shot because he's in a bad relationship, I think that changes it forever for you.
Yeah, you'd think that would have an effect on you.
Don't date that woman, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I hear where you're coming from. Or man, depending.
True. Anyway, speaking of bitch, I've noticed that everyone in your game likes to call me a bitch.
Well, have you ever thought that maybe you are?
I know for a fact that I am.
I grew up on the internet, so I am, in fact, a bitch. And a number of other words that are less appropriate to say. One, it's, we wanted to do a shout out to, all the fans of, Breaking Bad. We wanted to get that, everybody loves bitch from Breaking Bad. So
Science, bitch.
Exactly. And so we want to have that throughout. Like, you don't make a game about methamphetamine without referencing Breaking Bad. I'm actually really proud of the fact that our methamphetamine in the game is in no way close to how that is actually made. We just have machines that just sort of poop it out. And I pride myself on having nothing in our game that resembles anything that you would make meth out of.
I just like that. Like, the one mini game is like, hold this bunny, and it's like, pick me up, you bitch.
Yeah.
Don't put me down, bitch.
Yeah,
wow, this bunny's an asshole to me.
Right. Well, I always think that, it's bitch in a positive term, reclamation. Yeah, that was an interesting day because our artist came up. He's like, "Oh, I made this super cute bunny," and I'm like, "Great, I'll write some lines for him." And I'm like, "Ha ha ha! He's just gonna keep calling you a bitch."
That's
And
fantastic.
that's the creative process, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you make video games.
Even the sign at the beginning of the game, "Welcome to New Mexico, bitch."
Yeah, we'd like to keep that as a running gag where each time you enter a new area, the sign will still call you a bitch, but it will say something else.
I love it. I love it's such a goofy, it's not many game like today, so many games come out there like artistic and serious, and this is a game that's just fucked up and crazy and fun.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to make. We wanted to make something that was fucked up and crazy and fun, and something that you could laugh at the whole time, and you didn't need to take it seriously. And one of the things we did in designing the game is a huge amount of our time and energy went into making it feel good and fun, so that whether you were winning or losing, you were still having a good time. That was really important to us. We wanted to keep that. We wanted to have that, like, irreverent, fun, not just be the theme of the game, but being, like, the feeling of the game.
Yeah.
So I'm terrible at the game. I am awful. I consistently do the worst when we play it in the office. But, you know, I don't need to win. I can just fuck over the other people playing it with my character, and I get just as much enjoyment. So we have a lot of things, or explosions, throwing explosive barrels at each other. We added a new game more recently called Super Smash Bears, where you're in an arena and you gotta knock the other bears out of the ring. That's our own original idea. It's not based on anything. Clearly, we made it up ourselves, including the name.
Is it going to have meth cart in the game as well?
Ooh, I like meth
where the
cart.
Bears are just driving around like bathtubs.
I really want to make a kart racing thing, and if our Kickstarter makes enough money, there will be a kart racing thing. I think I'm going to take it a little bit more in a Shriner direction, because I love the idea of bears and tiny cars. I just really like that.
Nice.
Unless, of course, I was at a real Russian circus, and then I would probably feel bad, because it's got to be animal cruelty. There's no way a bear naturally drives a car.
Well, I'm glad I suggested that to you. All I want is a special thanks in the credits.
No problem. Done and done.
So what kind of release window are you guys looking at for this game?
So, I mean, it depends on what we make in Kickstarter. But our goal is to have it out before the end of this year, and we have a lot done on it. Most of the art is done, and if we weren't refactoring, we were fairly far along, but we got some new programmers, so that changed our sort of release window. But yeah, we're aiming to have the game out this year, which is one of the things that we wanted to make a point of our Kickstarter, because with things like, you know, Mighty Number 9 and whatever Double Fine's making, people are getting this idea that, like, oh, you donate money to a game and then it never comes out. And
4 years later, there's a playable demo out.
I don't care. I don't care anymore. So we're like, no, that's not us. That's not what we're about. We're not going to do that. I think we have a thing where if we make like a very large amount of money, then we would do a game version where you play online. But
I was just going to ask. I know it's focused on multiplayer. Is there any thoughts to online?
There is. Our programmers have all said no, absolutely not. But I was like, what if we make like this ludicrous amount of money? And they're like, yeah, okay, that's fair. That's a safe enough thing. But it's, even if we were to do that, we would release a second version of the game with online, so that we could still get this game out, and then we would have sort of like another version that would have online play. Of course, anybody who donated would get that version too. But yeah, no, we want to make a smaller game that you feel is valuable for your time and energy. Something that you can play with your friends, you can laugh at. It's a great drinking game where you're just like, it's an easy couple of hours of fun on a Friday night. Everything is revolved around sort of, it's a little bit different every time. There's procedural generation with every room. Oh my god, the alcohol is catching up with me.
Show your tits.
One second off. If there was a $20 bill in your hand, those tits would be shown, my friend.
I have a kitten. Is that close enough?
Tape $5 to that kitten and we'll talk.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so no, the game, we want the game to come out soon. We don't want it to take forever. This was never a project designed to take forever. And the only thing that would, push back our schedule at all is that if we got enough money on crowdsourcing to sort of, double the content of the game. And even if we doubled the content of the game, we're not interested in upping our price point. We want to keep it like a $12 game. That's what we want to put out, regardless of the amount of content in it, and by that means it's worth more than $12.
Yeah. I know in your timeline for the game, you mentioned possibly next year looking into doing this for consoles. Is that something that all comes down to Kickstarter financing, or is that just a time thing?
Well, the thing is, and this is great for your audience to know, it's at least $5,000 to get on ESRB. In fact, all of video games take a ton of money to create. It's funny now knowing that, looking at, people's Kickstarters, and they're like, we want $12,000.
Yeah.
What are you going to make with that? That's like a month's rent for a place, right? Even big games are like, we're going to make $3 million. It's like, you're still not going to make, almost anything with that amount of money. And it's crazy when you first get into it. You're like, oh, everything costs at least $10,000 to $15,000? Yeah, immediately. So that's the thing. We really want to put it on console. That's a real thing that we really, really want to do. But it all comes down to if we can afford to do it, because it's really easy to get priced out of that market.
Yeah. And then if you go international, there's all the foreign ratings boards that you have to worry about as well.
Yeah. Our game is already a censorship issue, so I'm reasonably sure China will never allow Bear vs. Methlab in there. We might change it. One of my friends who's a game designer was like, why don't you try something a little more PC? How about, Bear versus Race War? He's like, that'd probably go over fine. It's got a nice ring to it. I don't mind it. We are setting up the game so that we can localize it.
Bear versus concentration camp.
There you go.
I'm going to hell for that one.
I like the idea of being really Bear versus censorship, just right there. It's one of those things that kind of drives me crazy about working in games, where I'm like, oh no, we have drug references, and everyone's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, but we can make people's heads blow up. Like, oh yeah, no, you can kill as many people as you want, but if you show boobs or have drugs in your game, that's a no-go.
I was going to say, do you think this game would run into issues with the ESRB for not just the fact that there's drug content in there, but the fact that you're do all these drugs in the game?
Yeah. Almost certainly. But, I don't mind if we get a more mature rating, because that's probably fair. Not that I think, 12-year-olds will be horrified with our game, because, they have the internet now, so they can look at whatever they want immediately.
Yeah.
I did when I was 12.
Playing the game, I fully expect this to get an M rating.
Yeah, and that I would consider that a badge of honor, because we only have a digital copy, so it's no longer those days of well, you're never going to get into Best Buy with an M rating. And that's true. You'll probably never find a hard copy of Bear vs. Methlab in Best Buy.
I don't know, that one company, Limited Run Games, they like doing box copies of weird shit.
Yeah.
So you never know.
I do like box copies. It's kind of a cool thing to have. I would think if we sold a box copy, it would probably come with a gram of methamphetamine, just because that's value. You pick up $15, and even if you don't love the game, you're probably gonna love that methamphetamine.
Yeah, true. Everyone loves meth. But for real, if someone approached you to do a boxed version of the game, because there are plenty of boutique sites out there that will take a digital game and make just a cool little collector edition for physical, what do you see yourselves packing in with it?
Okay, so I used to love this stuff, so I'd love to do a world map, even though it's not important. That would be great. A nice instruction booklet in color. That's something you don't get anymore, with art in it. Yeah, I would like to do maybe little standees, or you know what? Fucking Pogs.
Pogs?
Bear versus Methlab Pogs. Saying
Oh
it now.
my God.
Yeah, like a slammer, and you get like a bear slammer, and then you also get like an Adolf Hitler slammer. Because why not? He's the villain in our game, by the way. I don't think he made it far enough. But all the kids on the playground are going to be jealous of your Adolf Hitler slammer. Like, let's be fair.
God damn. You could always take a page from Earthbound and do some scratch and sniff stuff.
Ooh, I love Earthbound. That game is fantastic. I love their book. The humor in it is really good. It would be like, we could do a strategy guide. You don't really need one, but it would be fun to do it, especially really sarcastically, sort of set it up like the Principia Discordia, where like all the words are written in like different places and like spaced weird with like cartoons, and you gotta like figure out how to read it. I think that would be really fun.
Man. Physical soundtrack?
So we, our sound guy, Saki, the guy who made our music, is very good, and he's actually a senior at EA. He was for years, so he is very good, which was a bit of a surreal situation for us, because, you know, we've all made about 1, 2, maybe 3 games, and this guy's been in the industry for like 20 years, and so he comes in, and he's like, okay, and we're like, yeah, let's see your portfolio. It's like hiring somebody like way above us. And like it's a bit of a strange situation, but he's been lovely, and we love the music that he does. So if we were to do any soundtrack stuff, that's all him. Like, nice. We would distribute for him, but like he'll get all of the money from that, all of that stuff. So he's in charge of the music, and I think that's how it should be when you're dealing with artists, is to give them the creative control.
You could organize a remix album.
Ooh,
see plenty of those come out.
Yeah. I would probably remix it myself with all a cappella.
Nice.
I think that's really, I think the kids are really into a cappella these days. I think a cappella is what's hot on the streets.
The Bobby McFerrin remix.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not worried. I'm happy.
We've had so many musicians on this show over the years, so if you're ever looking for musicians for your remix album for the hypothetical physical collector's edition of the game,
yeah,
we'll help you out.
Yeah, with the hypothetical profit, I absolutely would.
Indeed.
Be. Yeah, because, you know, as an artist and knowing many other artists, there's one thing artists hate. It's like, hey, you want to do work for me for no money? Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah.
I've had so many awesome people nice enough to do music for our show before.
That's lovely, yeah.
And then even dating back years ago, you're an Earthbound fan. Have you heard of Bound Together?
No, I haven't.
An Earthbound remix project.
Ooh.
You should look into that one.
I will look into that. I'm a big fan of Uematsu's The Black Mages, his punk rock band, where he covers all his Final Fantasy music.
Yeah.
It's pretty fantastic. So yeah, no, I love an Earthbound project.
Do you follow OC Remix or anything like that?
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds fantastic.
Oh my god, you need to get learned. Overclocked Remix. OCRemix.org has been around for, 10, 15 years, something crazy like that. And it's just a website of video game remixes.
Well, you know, I almost never go to any web page that doesn't have the word sluts in the URL. So, but it's nice to branch out.
Remixcumdumpsters.org.
Oh my god, right? I would go to that site. Unless, of course, it was false advertising and they were selling like pottery or something.
There you go. Oh my god, that'd be such an amazing name for a pottery sale.
Yeah, cumdumpster.org. We sell the cheapest pottery that you can buy. This. Don't look at me like that, Adira. It's not my fault you walked away.
Get that plaster all over your face.
Right? There you go. I think that this is a good business venture. But what I'd like to do is sell this business venture to anybody listening to this podcast right now. Just contact me and Joe, and we'll hook you up with everything you need to start Cum Dumpsters Pottery.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That would... Oh my god, what's wrong with us?
I don't know. I mean, do you trust medical science to diagnose you? I don't.
No, medical science already almost killed me when I had my gallbladder out. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
No, I just pray to the gods, and they handle pretty much everything, and I think that's a great system for me personally.
Nice. Well,
yeah.
Our interview has run the gamut from cum dumpsters to gun attacks when we're 70 years old.
Yeah.
And we talked about your game a little bit in the middle there. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Not the election. That would be something I could never, ever need to talk about. I feel as though I should talk a little bit more about the game. But I'm not sure what to bring up. Let's see, procedural generation. Everything is different. You can actually, we have a dungeon editor in it so that you can customize your dungeons, and we have multiple worlds, so you select the games that you want to play and the world that you want to play in, and it will make a dungeon for you every time.
That's awesome.
Different one. It's pretty cool. We have 4 worlds, so we like to add more. We have our New Mexico Methlab, which is the one that you saw, and then after that we have the haunted house.
Ooh.
And then we have underwater, where you fight Cthulhu cults. We like this one's quite a bit. We're trying to figure out what we'd like the sign to say. I like the idea of it's like just a bunch of owls, and it's like bitch. I like that. We'll see. And then each world has sort of like some different elements to it. Like for underwater, nothing can catch on fire. Like the explosions are bigger, they knock you back fire, but like nothing catch on. Whereas as you played in New Mexico, you can just run around on fire and you'll catch other things on fire.
Bear on fire is fantastic.
Yeah, and it doesn't really hurt you. Just like if you light a real bear on fire, it will be fine. That's science for you. And then the other thing that I guess we didn't bring up is that we have a really heavy character customization. So by playing the game, either our story mode or the multiplayer mode, you unlock customization options for your bear. So we have skins, so it will change like the skin of the bear. So you can be like, oh, I'm a brown bear or a polar bear or a panda bear, or we get a little bit more creative. And you're like, oh, I'm a bear made of stone or brick. My personal favorite is human skin, because it looks really gross. I really like that. You can also like jelly, and we'll have a bunch of different ones. And then you also get like hats or like hairdos or jewelry, so that you can customize. And one of our favorite things to do is we have a randomize button. So at the beginning of the game, every time you play it, you can just like random whatever bear, and all of the customizations you unlock will just randomly put together a bear for you. And so that's one of our favorite things, is to just like spam the Y button until we get like something weird. Yeah, I love that.
I unlocked earrings.
Yeah, there you go. So that's something we have a strong thing, because there's a lot of party games, but very few of them you get to like make your own character and have that little sense of ownership. And then by randomizing it, you get something a little bit different every time, and it's pretty fun.
Are you guys going to look into any kind of cross-game promotional stuff where, like, you could get like one of the masks from Full Mojo Rampage, or like Guacamelé's helmet or something like that?
I would love to do that. From going to things like PAX and talking to other game developers, everyone's really nice, but it's a little weird contacting via the internet and be like, hey, can we put your shit in our game? And they're like... Who are you? Who are you? Where did you get this information?
We dropped acid together at PAX, don't you remember?
Come on, it was super, super cool. I had a great conversation with Stamper about Style Project. It was just a great, like, old-timey conversation about a dark corner of the information, the internet. It was a good time, because I was super nervous talking to Tom Fulp and Stamper, and I was just like, oh my god, you're Newgrounds! Ah! My voice was literally like that, and then super awkward. And then Stamper just started talking about Newground or Style Project, and I was like, there we go. Now I'm home. This is like the late '90s internet. I feel.
Nice.
I feel okay. You familiar with Style Project?
No, I have not partaken of that. I've done plenty of other Newground stuff, but
Style Project wasn't Newground, so it's its own site. It was sort of like eBaum's World before eBaum's World.
Oh God, like the dark days of the internet.
The dark days.
The dial-up era.
Where somebody will post a video and they're like, hottest porn video ever, and then it'll just somebody be puking for 5 minutes straight.
Nice, nice.
This is the internet that I grew up on. Where
so it's
there
4chan.
No filters. That's why I still use Bing to this day, because it's just like the old internet where it's like, I'm like, I wanna find out about like, when was Count Chocula made? And then they're like, do you want like porn or murder? And I was like, oh no, I don't. But I'm happy that this popped up in my search results. Makes me feel like it's 1998 again.
Yeah, I own a Windows phone, and every time I search for anything, there's always like, we can't show you these image results because there's an age filter on them. So I'm like, all right, let's just go look and see what's there. Oh, dicks. Dicks. I'm glad I searched for like how to subsidize a mortgage, but dicks is fine too, I guess, you know, whatever.
I remember being in that sort of age when like we first had the internet to use for studying at school, and it's like, but there were no filters. Like that was right in that time before like everyone was like, oh, we'll use the internet for studying, and but we don't know what's on there. And then you're like, I know what's on there, and I know it will come up no matter what you search. It will always be Zach. I appreciate that.
What was it? The movie Ted 2, where every time they would Google something, it would just ask, like, did you mean big black cock? Something like that.
Yeah. It's, I miss those days. There were simpler times, yeah. No
Good
filters,
times.
you just go to search, and then you're like, oh my god, I wish I'll never unsee that. That will be in my brain forever.
You don't have things like Tub Girl these days.
You know, I maybe you do. I wouldn't even know where you'd find that. But, you know, that's the thing. You like, we got so much media these days, and this is true with indie games. It's hard to get noticed, you know? Like a Goatsy or a Tub Girl, they just fade into the background in this modern time. The time where their fame, that's over, you know?
You can't just do Lemon Party these days. It's
exactly.
Gotta be bigger and better.
Yeah, and and then there's like 50 other people who are like already on top of that. They're like, oh,
kids these days and their fucking Google searches.
Yeah, and you're like, I can't even compete.
They don't have old man dick popping up every time they try looking at something.
Exactly, and certainly no one old man dick is going to get famous for being the old man dick on the internet.
Seriously.
Those days are over.
You can find old man dick on Reddit. Just hit the front page, and you're like, oh, yep, there's plenty of dicks right there.
You tell me how to use Reddit and not find old man dick. That's what I'm saying.
There isn't a way.
No, it's front page. But yeah, I'll take that back to video games by saying that's what it is like with indie games these days. There's a lot of them, right? And so it's important for, if you see something, it's important for everybody. If you see something you like, you know, you don't have to give them your money, but you know, support them. And I don't mean just us. I just mean like there's so much content out there that it's important for you to like find out who you like, find out who you care about, find out the things that you really want to support, and support them. You know, a lot of these people are really easy to talk to. A lot of people are like in the game. We love our fans. We absolutely love the people even the people who aren't our fans but love games. You know, we love those people, and so. You know, reach out to the people making the games that you love, because, you know, unless they're really, really rich, they want to hear from you. And your patronage matters. That's really important. I'll try and end on like, oh god, I gotta say, that was too personal. Dicks. Just to get that bad taste of like a genuine human moment out of their mouths. We wouldn't want that in this interview.
No, we can't end with that. But yeah, again, we ran the gamut of everything on this show. Good luck to all of you guys working on this game. I hope the Kickstarter does well. How can people stay in touch with you guys?
We're on the Twitter. We're on the Instagram, although we mostly just put art there. We're on the Facebook. We're also on the YouTube. And I think that we have an email, but I don't know what it is.
Do you have a MySpace page?
Oh my god, I should set one up. Having a MySpace page would be deadly. Dear, get on that. Make us a MySpace page. But it's got to be a crappy one. Yeah, and we'll be trying to like put out information on a consistent basis. We generally put like GIFs, art, and then anything we have. We're gonna probably have a demo, a little bit more polished, to send out to anybody interested in it. So you're lovely. So if you're interested, we'll send you a better playable demo in the near future, so you can sort of check out where things are at. And
sounds good.
Give the good people a heads up. Like, these jokers aren't totally full of shit.
Just mostly, not totally.
No, fairly full of shit.
You're working on it. You're getting there.
No, we're making the game. I personally am full of shit, but not in making the game. That's all serious.
Sounds good.
All
well,
right.
you guys have 30 days left on the Kickstarter, 32 days. I wish you guys the best of luck. Keep us updated on everything that's going on. And
Will do.
The first time that you guys can confirm a console release, let us know, because I would love to fire up my Xbox, sit down with some friends, and just laugh our asses off with this game.
Yeah, no, that'll be great. It might have to be a hilarious censored version of the game, but I promise you, if we have to censor it, it will be hilarious. That is my promise.
It'll be like South Park in Australia, where they just have like images of koalas or something.
Yeah, no, I have like an alternate to, like, instead of people like splatting into blood when they hit a wall, they splat into rainbows with butterflies. That's
I saw that. Yeah. That was pretty fantastic when I saw that.
It's good. I'm glad you liked it.
So yeah, thanks again for coming and doing this interview. Do you have any final words for our listeners to end this?
No. Wait.
Welcome back, everyone. I am here with my final interview of the episode, welcoming back to the show Matt Small of Vector Unit. Matt, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing good. It's good to have a repeat guest. I guess we didn't do enough to scare you off the first time around, huh?
You didn't quite do enough.
Gonna have to work harder this episode. So how's everything going at Vector Unit? I hear you guys have a new game out.
Yeah, we do. It's been a very busy week. We just came out with Riptide GP Renegade, which is the third in the Riptide GP series. And we just came out with it for PlayStation 4 and Steam this week. And then next week it's coming out for Shield Android TV and Apple TV. And then it's going to come out for mobile and also for Xbox One, I believe around the end of August.
End of August. See, you got to the question before I even had a chance to ask it. You know, we're an Xbox show, and I
Right.
had to ask if there was any kind of firm release date for the Xbox version yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't say that it's firm. It's more optimistic. It's kind of a sliding. I mean, it's sort of a sliding target at this point. Like we can just kind of get right into it. I mean, the thing about the Xbox version is the like network multiplayer is a big part of this game, and there's also some other network features like ghost racing and stuff like that. And the network security requirements on Xbox One, for whatever reason, are like super, super strict compared to everything else, including Windows. And so anyway, so we've been sort of iterating with them a bit on that to make sure that the network is like super buttoned up the way that they want it to be. But it's been taking longer. The other thing is, this is going to be actually one of the first crossplay games with Windows 10.
Ooh, nice. I didn't know that was being worked on for this.
Yeah. It's the Windows 10 version. Well, yes. Anyway, it's going to be crossplay with Windows 10. So with it, they'll share Xbox Live accounts, and so when you have it on Xbox One, you can also play it on Windows 10, and share achievements. You can sync your game progress back and forth with a single Xbox Live account, and you can play online between Windows people and Xbox people.
Is this going to be one of those Play Anywhere titles where one purchase gets you both versions?
So that's something we're working on with them. They haven't, the cross-play part of it works right now. The one where the Play Anywhere, where you only have to buy it once, that's something that they haven't officially rolled out yet. But we actually just had a meeting with them today, and we are going to try to make it work with this title. But that might mean releasing the Xbox version first and then holding the Windows version for another month or so until the XPA, the Play Anywhere thing, is ready.
Interesting. Because aren't they starting the Play Anywhere thing in September with Recore?
Yeah, I think that's one of the first games that's coming out that has it, right?
They just don't want you to beat them to the market, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, sort of that's what they told us was like sometime around like September, mid-September is when that feature should start to be available. So as soon as the irony is that the Windows 10 version of the game has actually been finished and approved by Microsoft for a pretty long time. So it's just kind of hanging out, waiting for us to get the Xbox version through cert.
Would it work to release the Windows version first and then the Xbox and have the cross-buy worked out? Like, I don't know how the fuck any of this stuff works.
Yeah, I don't even really know. I think that there are people, there are a lot of people that we've talked to at Microsoft that still aren't 100% sure how it's going to work. But my understanding was
that's confidence building. Hey, Microsoft, how does this feature work? I don't fucking know.
It's one of those things. I think it's mostly just the people that we're talking to. Like, there's a group of people that are working on it that I'm sure are totally well versed in it, and then
allegedly,
yeah. But it's just not us. We don't. Just us at Vector Unit don't have a clue. But anyway, what we heard was it's better to release the Xbox version first and then hold the Windows version. So that's what we're thinking.
Interesting. So you're trying to at least make the Play Anywhere, the cross-buy thing happen?
Yeah. I mean, we feel like it would totally be worth it. I mean, we could release the Windows version at the same time as the Xbox version. But once the Windows version is out, there's no way to kind of apparently revert it back into being a single purchase. So once they're released as separate purchases, that's it. You're kind of locked in for that. And we figured that would be, Windows 10 gaming is still pretty early, and it seems like rather than ask people to pay for it twice, it's such a nice feature to be able to play it either, play anywhere, that it seems like it's worth holding the Windows version for a month or whatever it takes to make it a single purchase.
Like, hey, I bought this game on my Xbox, and poof, hey, I have it now on Windows 10. That's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, exactly. And also vice versa. I mean, you could theoretically play it on Windows 10. If you're thinking of getting an Xbox for Christmas or something, you could start playing the game on Windows 10 now, and then when you get your Xbox for Christmas, you'll just have it.
Is there any possibility of doing the Quantum Break approach, where if you pre-ordered the Xbox version, you got a download code for the Windows 10 version?
Yeah, we talked to them about that. Apparently, it's complicated. And I think ultimately what it boiled down to was, we could probably strong arm our way through something like that, where we just get a ton of codes and then sort of manually figure out some way to kind of distribute codes to people who buy it. But, since we're pretty much just like a 3-person shop, it seemed like that would be hard.
I'm impressed with myself asking real questions this time.
I know, we're talking about some deep level stuff right now.
Technical stuff and codes and all kind of weird things.
Yeah.
So for the people who don't know what the game is that we're talking about, I probably should have led with this, but if people don't know what Riptide GP Renegade is, give us the sales pitch.
All right. So let's see. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history first.
Bring it on.
Bring it. So Vector Unit, when we first started about 7 years ago, our first game was a racing game called Hydro Thunder Hurricane for Xbox 360.
Now playable on your Xbox One as well. So
yes, now you can play that on your Xbox One as well. It was one of the first backwards compatible games.
Gotta hype that game up while we can.
Yeah, totally. And it's really exciting for us that was backwards compatible, because now you can actually buy Xbox 360 games in the Xbox store on your Xbox One. So that's pretty cool too. And there's still a pretty active online group of people that play online for Hydro Thunder, so that's nice. Anyway, so that game was kind of a classic. I don't know if people are familiar, but it's a water racing game, a boat racing game, and sort of a classic arcade racing game where there are these really kind of over the top levels with giant jumps and dinosaurs trying to bite you and shortcuts and power-ups and stuff like that.
For the younger audience, what is an arcade?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's this room in a mall. What's a mall? Well, it's a place with a bunch of stores. What, like Amazon?
Yeah, exactly. Did you order stuff? What?
Sorry, I'm completely throwing you off with my dumb comment.
It's I was just thinking about all the things I should be ordering on Amazon right now. So Hydro Thunder Hurricane, that was our first game, Xbox Live Arcade, and it was this kind of over the top, kind of sort of ridiculous, super exciting racing game. And so then we switched over to doing mobile games after that. And one of our first mobile games was Riptide GP, which was a water racing game, but this time on kind of futuristic jet skis with riders. And there's a whole stunt mechanic where you bust out stunts, and when you pull off stunts, you get boost, and then that helps you go faster. So, and the Riptide series has been super popular on mobile. It's a little bit more serious. It was always a little bit more serious than Hydro Thunder. It didn't have the shortcuts and stuff like that. It was a little bit more of a serious racing game in a way. And we did Riptide GP2, and then we started porting those games over to console, but they were still games that had originally been designed for mobile that we kind of up-resed and brought over to console. Yeah. And it did well on console. And so we decided that with a new Riptide game, what we wanted to do was kind of reboot the series and basically develop it from the beginning with the idea that it was going to be a console game. So spend more time adding details and things like that to the environments. a little bit more depth and story to the gameplay. And then also bring the series a little bit more towards what we liked, or bring some of the things that we really liked about Hydro Thunder into Riptide. So make it a little bit more of like an arcade racer, a little bit more ridiculous. And so the tracks in Riptide GP Renegade are, like arcade racing tracks with there's lots of interactive elements. Like there's one level where you're driving through a military base and there's explosions going off around you. And there's another level where you get chased by a police helicopter, and the helicopter crashes and shakes the camera, and all the tracks have shortcuts on them. Most of them have some kind of interactive elements, like breakable obstacles and things like that. And then plus the jet skis like transform. We retuned all of the handling on the jet skis to make them a bit quicker and more responsive. So it's just like a much more kind of action-packed racing experience. And that was the idea behind Riptide Renegade. And then the whole Renegade part of it was we wanted to, along with the reboot, kind of take you, now that you're doing this more kind of extreme racing, in the past you were always sort of like a professional racer, like in stadiums and stuff. And we wanted to break you out of that and let you race in places like city parks and, ruined, abandoned cities and, military bases and places that you're not supposed to be racing.
Yeah, there are definitely some intense stages in this game. The flooded city is probably one of my favorite.
With the waves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets insane. And this leads me to a completely separate question. But what kind of technical wizards are you guys that you were able to get so much content, so many textures, good physics, locations, tracks, and everything in a game that's like less than 400 meg? What kind of compression are you using over there? What kind of wizards and warlocks and satanic rituals are you guys doing to make the game that small?
Even though, like I said, this game was developed for console, and we're doing mobile ports of it, like I mentioned earlier, we still have, like, the years that we spent doing mobile games, because mobile games have to be so small, we just developed a lot of kind of techniques for, being smart about the way that we instance things, so that you can model something and then reuse it. And it, each time you reuse it, it doesn't take any more memory. And being smart about like sharing textures and kind of overlaying textures so that you don't have to have an original texture for every single object in the game. And just stuff like that, just being really, really efficient about the way that we build things. And so even though we're doing things like at a much higher res and with more detail now, like all of those techniques still apply even if you're working on a console game. So it definitely helps keep the size down.
Yeah, because we have games like, Halo 5 and Grand Theft Auto 5 that take up like 60, 70 gig, and then Riptide GP Renegade, I'm looking at it on my PS4 right now, with the save file, 391 meg.
That's right.
And that just, when I saw the file size, I'm like, what kind of corners did they cut to do this game? Like, is this going to be a big letdown? And no, it was bigger and more to do than the last game. And it's just such a tiny file size. And I'm sure this is one of the dumbest things that you're going to get complimented on, but I'm impressed. That was a big surprise to see such a big game in a small package.
Yeah, thanks. It's one of those things that people always, that people always comment on. I mean, yeah, and the thing, like you said, I mean, the tracks in this game are not small. I mean, some of them are, like multiple kilometers long with like tons of, just, there's like forest levels with tons of trees in them and stuff like that. And, yeah, we just, like I said, we're magic, basically.
Yeah, the city park level that you were talking about, where it goes into the bay with all the ships moving around, and then you crash into a building with tables and furniture that you're knocking over. It's like, there's a lot of shit in this game, and it's just proof that, size doesn't always matter, ladies.
Yeah, I mean, we like one of the things that we tried to do, just 'cause you reminded me of this when you were talking about the park level with the museum and everything at the end, is we tried to one of the lessons that we had in Hydro Thunder that we carried into this game was to sort of try to come up with kind of a story for each level, or sort of a theme for each level. So for the park level, like we wanted to have one level that was sort of pretty, or at least one level that was kind of pretty, not like super, dystopian, like future, but a little bit
with
nicer.
color.
Yes, exactly. But then we also still wanted it to be kind of extreme, and so the theme that we had for that level was like a bull in a china shop, where you just wanted to have like a whole bunch of destructible stuff. So you're kind of in this nice little park with like birds tweeting, and then you like go racing through it in your jet ski, and you're like smashing stone fountains and,
crashing through bridges with dining tables and people eating, and you're just ruining meals, and
yeah, exactly.
Lives are being destroyed as you careen a heavy jet ski into people, I would assume. Not everyone could dodge out of the way.
No, that's true. I mean, I that's the difference between like Grand Theft Auto and our game probably, is that when you have like a budget like Grand Theft Auto, they probably would have had like plates of spaghetti on the tables. And then when you ran through the tables, the spaghetti would get like stuck in your helmet or something. But we had to cut the spaghetti budget. So I can't promise spaghetti on the tables.
Spaghetti DLC is confirmed.
That's right. That's going to be top of our list.
So what is at the top of your list? I would assume that the other platforms, Xbox, Windows, the various mobile platforms, are you guys looking into DLC for this game? Additional courses, tracks, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to sort of, like you said, the first priority is just getting the game out there. And then we're trying to assess how much DLC to make at this point. We're definitely going to do something. And we're already planning like a first update that's going to, well, we're tossing around some different ideas. I mean, at the very least, we want to add content and sort of gameplay to the game. And we've thought about like some kind of more efficient things that we could do. Like we could maybe do like a storm mode so that like you can replay any of the levels in storm mode where the waves are like kind of big and different, and like the lighting and time of day is different and stuff like that.
Ooh.
And then possibly doing kind of like either reverse tracks or maybe sort of split tracks so that like they sort of share some of the content, but then they go off in different directions and stuff like that. And then like the next tier up from that would be just doing like, completely new, totally original tracks. So somewhere on that spectrum, we'll do something somewhere on that spectrum, but we haven't decided exactly where yet.
I'm kind of curious how reverse tracks would work on some of the levels, like the City Park one that we mentioned before, because there's so many waterfalls and going down.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious how that would work in a reverse fashion.
That's true. It might not work so great on that one. Like the point-to-point tracks, that was one thing that we added in this game too, is in the past, the Riptide tracks have always been circuit tracks, like laps, where you race like 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah.
And those you can always do reverse if you want, because, it's a lap, so you can't have too much elevation change. But that's also a limitation. So for this game, we added point-to-point tracks. And I think about half the tracks in the game are point-to-point. And the cool thing about a point-to-point track is that you can have like these huge waterfalls that you jump off of, where you can pull off like really big stunts and stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the point-to-point races in this game. It was a fun way to mix things up instead of, I'm just doing 2 or 3 laps again.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, in that way, it's like everything's original. I mean, even on the lap tracks, like what we try to do is do something different on the second lap. So like in the military level, the first lap, you're kind of going through it and there's like certain sort of alternate paths and stuff. And then the second lap, stuff starts happening. There's explosions. The pathways change a little bit.
That big ship just fucking explodes.
There's a big ship just totally explodes right in your face.
That was awesome. It reminded me a lot of the game Split Second.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that game. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. And so we try to, we try in the second lap on the lap races to sort of mix it up. But the point to point races are really fun because they do, like you said, I mean, it's just like all new content the whole time. We're just kind of like, shooting your face with a fire hose of fun.
Have you guys ever thought of adding actual weaponry to the game?
That's probably the most common request that we get. It's like, where are the weapons? Yeah, we've talked about, I mean, this particular game, I don't know if we would, because we kind of like the fact that it's just a racing game, but we've talked about maybe doing like a spin-off, like Riptide Arena or something like that, where it's more a combat game. Exactly. It would be fun. I mean, the like one of the first games that Ralph is the other co-founder of Vector Unit. And one of the first games that we worked on together was an Xbox game called the first Xbox game called Bloodwake.
Yeah, I remember talking about that with you the first time you were on.
Yeah, exactly. And so that game had weapons in it, and weapons on water is pretty cool because the explosions and stuff like that can like ripple the whole surface and create like tidal waves and stuff like that. And so you can do a lot of pretty fun stuff with weapons on like a dynamic water surface. So it's something that we talk about. I mean, it would be fun to do definitely another like kind of boat combat game would be pretty cool.
Maybe you should hit up Microsoft and see if they'd be interested in a Bloodwake HD.
That would be great.
I'm assuming that's a Microsoft IP.
Yeah, it was. That was a Microsoft Games published game. Stormfront, the company that we used to work for, we like developed the idea and pitched them on it, but then they published it and funded it. So we would have to, if we were going to work on that, we would have to somehow get their okay.
There you go. I'm just giving you all these ideas right off the bat.
I know.
You pretty much
we got our roadmap figured out for the next couple of years now.
And go figure, I did not see the SML podcast and the special thanks on Renegade. My heart's broken. My heart is broken. I thought we had something special last time you were on.
And just dumped you. No gratitude at all.
There's still time to sneak us in the Xbox version, I believe.
That's true.
So speaking of the water, once again, the water physics in this game look insane. Like I've never seen water look so good than in your games.
Thanks. Yeah. That's our special sauce.
Yeah, I think I was raving about that the last time you were on, where I just couldn't believe how good you guys make water look. And then in this game, we were talking about the dilapidated city, just the massive waves in the air that you can get. It's insane.
Yeah, that was one of the things we definitely wanted to have. Because most of the tracks, like there's waves, and sometimes there are kind of big waves that come in from the side, and you can jump off the waves. But we were like, we definitely want to have at least one track where there's just huge waves. And so that was kind of where the Ruined City level idea came from. And yeah, they're pretty fun because they're pretty random. I mean, they're not 100% random. So like if you get to the exact same place in the track at the exact same time, you'll see that it's the same. And we had to do that because of the ghost racing that we wanted to do. But the fact of the matter is every time there's little variations, like your jet ski is upgraded a little bit, or you make a slightly different turn or whatever. And so you're almost never exactly in the same place at the exact same time. And it just is like, it just throws a surprise at you every time you drive through that section. There's like, you're expecting there to be a huge wave and there isn't, or you're not expecting there to be a huge one, and all of a sudden there's like this big, like perfect storm wave coming at you.
Yeah,
It's
I
cool.
think I've gotten bigger air off some of those waves than I did on like the gigantic waterfall in that level.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how high you can get on some of those waves. And then alternatively, there's times where I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm going to have enough time to pull off a quick trick, get a little boost, and I like go 2 feet off the water and then crash and eat water and curse
the
at
waves
myself.
definitely, they make it a lot more like unpredictable. And there's also, I don't know if you found the shortcut on that level.
With the Easter egg in it?
So there's the one with the Easter egg, which is later in the level, and then like in that big wave section, like off to the right, there's a kind of like a ruined like monorail or subway track, and if you kind of cruise along the side of that, it's like a bridge that's just a little bit above water level, and if you cruise along the side when the waves are going up and down, if you catch it in like one of the troughs of the wave, you can like cut under that bridge, and then there's like a subway tunnel that you can drive through.
Ooh, I did not see that one.
That's a hot tip right there.
No, you have a lot of hidden stuff in this game. There are so many alternate paths and hidden shortcuts and just crazy stuff. I like the one in the city park where instead of going left or right after you come down that first little hill, you could just jump up the cement and there's water up top there that you could just cut through the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's actually even like once you get up there, there's actually two different ways you can go, because you can go straight across and basically just jump off the end of that platform, or you can like cut down into the middle and there's like a tunnel underneath that you can go through that has like a little kind of boost pad in it.
See, I saw that there and I was like, should I try going down there? I don't know if that's going to wreck me. I should have explored. I should have went.
You can explore, but it's hard when you're feeling the pressure.
Trying to win. I got all these people breathing down my neck. I'm trying to bust some crazy tricks, and you don't have time to explore. You gotta trust your instinct. And
Exactly.
That instinct is just plowing through people's tables. So the tricks, of course, a game like this needs tricks, and you seem to have gone above and beyond the craziness of the last game with some of the tricks in this.
Yeah, that was another goal that we had for this game, was to, we kept most of the same tricks from last time and then just like layered in a whole bunch of new tricks. So there's basically like twice as many tricks now. And we really concentrated also on some of the more kind of like extreme, ridiculous tricks. So, there's like the log roll, and there's like,
I was just thinking of that one too.
That's pretty much
use that as an example.
Yeah, that's pretty much my favorite one. And that was definitely one thing we wanted to do, was to kind of fill in the whole stunt tree, because there's like combos that you can pull off. And in the past we had a few we basically wanted to like use every possible combo that we could, and so we just came up with like all these different ideas for stunts that we could think of.
I always try to like pick which tricks, when I can upgrade, which ones I can actually like think that, oh, I know this one, up, down, down, instead of like both in and then twice down, or just, there's so many crazy combinations that in the heat of the moment, I would absolutely not remember.
Right, you just sort of panic.
Just panic hit things, and instead you just do like a shitty bar hop and you get like 2 things of boost. And it's just a waste.
Then you cry.
And then you lose because you're terrible at the game.
Yeah, there's when I play through, I've played through many times now at this point, and I always try like sort of different strategies for like which stunts I'm going to unlock first. We actually tuned it this time, so like when you play through like the entire career, and if you play everything, like the side missions and stuff, you can get enough experience to unlock all the stunts in the game. So if you really, really play through the whole thing and explore every single little side quest and everything in the story, you can get all the stunts in the game. But you have to play for a while. So usually, like in the beginning, I'm always kind of thinking like, all right, like, am I going to go? I usually unlock the forward flips and the back flips pretty early, because like the double ones, because sometimes, like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but sometimes on like ramps, you can actually get a little bit of extra air by doing one of those flips.
Really?
Yeah. Like, because when the jet ski kind of flips backwards, it sort of kicks you up a little bit. And so if you so sometimes you can do that to like, you get a little extra air, and then that actually gives you a little bit more hang time to like pull off a bigger stunt.
Interesting. I didn't know that could adjust your height.
There's another pro tip for you.
Indeed. a weird thing with some of the tricks is instead of just jumps, you have like rails that you can ride in this game.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys decide to like still allow someone to like do a backflip on one of those rails? Because it looks goofy as hell.
Yeah, it kind of makes no physical sense. I mean, we like originally when we first thought of the idea of putting in the grind rails, we had like all this sort of physics logic so that like if there were certain stunts that wouldn't work. Like, for instance, a tabletop you would totally expect to work on a grind rail, but then maybe like a Superman or like a backflip, like you said, like you wouldn't expect that to work. But then it just became kind of like, it just felt kind of limiting. Like you just wanted to do it and not have the game be all like, no, you can't do that stunt there for some reason. So we just decided to kind of go for it.
Yeah, I accidentally did a flip on there and I fully expected to wipe out. And I just did the backflip. I'm like, that looked so stupid, but that was cool as hell.
Exactly.
I don't know how physically that happened in the game. I'm guessing it was just easier to do an all or nothing kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, and I think also your rider is incredibly superhumanly strong, and the jet skis, he can just whip them around.
So let's talk about the rider, because you guys actually have a story in the game this time.
Yes.
Tell us about this story.
The novel. We call it the novel. So the story is because, like I said before, old Riptide Games, you were kind of like a circuit rider, like MotoGP, Riptide GP. And so the idea is that you start off as like this kind of up and coming Riptide GP rider. This all happens like in the tutorial. And then, and you get set up by your rival for sort of, he challenges you to like an illegal street race basically, and then he calls in the cops and they bust you, and so you get kicked out of the GP circuit, and then you basically, the only thing you know how to do at that point pretty much is ride, and so you are forced to compete on the illegal street racing circuit and sort of reclaim your prestige on the illegal circuit. And so the whole thing is about kind of working your way through the sort of progressively harder kind of street crews in a way, and like challenging like harder and harder bosses until eventually you can hopefully like get revenge on your rival.
That guy's a dick, by the way.
He's such a dick.
When I saw that intro and he's like, someone must have called the cops, I'm like, you son of a bitch.
I know who did it. It was you.
You son of a bitch.
And
then 2 years in jail.
Yeah, I know. 2 years in jail. Originally, we had it 5 years, and then we were like, wait, that seems like a ridiculously long time to go to jail for illegal street racing. 2 years is that's pretty long.
Just for racing. They don't fuck around in the future.
No, they don't, man. They don't.
Clearly.
But the thing that was nice about the story too is that it opened up. So now we have different characters that you can unlock too. So in the past there was just basically one character. I think in Riptide 2 you could pick a male or a female character, and so now you can still start off. You can pick a male or a female character, but then as you go through the game, you like defeat these bosses and one after the other, and each time you defeat a boss, basically they join your team. So then you can race as that character.
I know you unlock the character as well as their craft. Obviously the jet skis all have different stats. Do the riders have any different stats?
No, the riders are just purely beauty.
All cosmetic.
All cosmetic. And when you start off, I mean, part of what we wanted to do was to give people kind of options that they could have so that when they race online, because you can just sort of race online right in the beginning of the game, but you can tell kind of the difference between the people that have been playing the game a lot and the people that haven't, based on like kind of which jet skis they're riding with and like which riders they've chosen, and also which decals. There's like these sort of insignia that you can unlock in the game that are tied to achievements and progress. And some of the cooler ones, like the hot dog or the pizza or whatever, it like takes a little while to actually unlock those, or you have to do something special for them. So
for the online, clearly if someone buys the game in a month from now and they fire it up and they decide to go online, they're going to get their ass kicked by people who've been playing it for a month. Is there any system in place to make it kind of a level playing field where it comes down to skill and not the fact that you have the most powerful craft in the game and the other person has just the starter craft?
Yeah, actually, that was another thing that we changed in this game was we actually basically leveled the online. So when you play online right now, you can choose rookie, pro, or elite difficulty. And basically what that does is it puts you in a speed category. And then once you choose like elite, that's the fastest one. All of the jet skis that are in there, all the hydrojets that are in there, are basically balanced with each other. So the upgrades that you do in like single player career, those are all used to kind of customize your single player career experience and your ghost racing experience. But in multiplayer, you're basically playing with like a preset configuration of the jet ski. And so they're all designed to be different and have different personalities, but to be balanced. So you can basically, right from the get-go, you can go in and race with one of the faster jet skis. The one different thing, the other thing that happens if you've played the game a lot is that you unlock a greater variety of jet skis, but they're still relatively balanced. So you won't be totally left behind if you join the game later.
How's it feel to finally do online in a game?
It feels good. I mean, we had done some online in the past, actually on mobile, but it turned out that it was a little bit more complicated than we expected in our last round of console games, and so we had to leave it out. So we were really glad to be able to bring online back for like this console version. That was one of our big focuses.
Yeah, I know when you were on last time, you were saying that Renegade was going to be the one to bring back online. So it's good to see it made the cut and it's out and doing well. How's the reception been so far?
It's been good. We've been happy with a lot of the reviews that we've gotten. Like people seem to really like the game. I mean, they like the improvements and things like that we made. The core fans, like there's certain people that we know that we interact with on Facebook and stuff like that, and we know that like they're going to pick it up day one, and we're always curious to see how they react, because they have these expectations going in from what they've played in the past, and when those people are happy, we know at least we did we did something right. We brought something new to the table, so that's been really good.
What kind of negatives have you guys been hearing about the game so far?
I mean, the biggest negatives that we get are that I feel like it's still kind of the expectation of like a console game, right? So it's like, we spent a lot more time in this game and we put a lot of polish and work into it, but it's, it doesn't look like Need for Speed necessarily, where you have like a team of 30 artists polishing every single level. And so, which is why, we price our games, I think, pretty fairly. Like this one is $15. And that's, because we have that in mind. It's not a $60 title.
Why isn't this $15 downloadable title as good as a $60 retail game?
Exactly.
This is bullshit.
Exactly. So I think that that's like kind of the biggest criticism that we get. But it's like I saw one review saying, he's like, yeah, it doesn't look like, Need for Speed, but like the game is super fun. The gameplay is really tight. And I'd rather that the developers put the work into making the game fun than, spend all the extra time necessarily just like making it pretty. And, that said, I still think the game looks pretty good, but,
I think it looks great. Shit.
Thanks.
What are some of the dumbest complaints you've been hearing from people? Call out the shitty reviewers. What are they saying?
Sometimes sometimes people just don't get it, I think, or they just don't put the work into, they play the game like once or twice and they lose a couple races and they're like, this game sucks. It's totally unbalanced or something like that. And so, those are always the ones that kind of bug me because I feel like they didn't really give the game a fair chance, But I mean, we try to, like, for the most part, like the reviews that are kind of reasonable or at least like thought out, if people have like criticisms of the game, like we take those, we take them seriously. And especially if multiple people are kind of saying the same thing, like, hey, we want improvements on this one bit. we'll put that in line for like the next update. We actually already made one change to it, which was for the online game, we had divided up multiple servers. So we're using like an online multiplayer SDK called Photon. And Photon has like multiple servers, like one in North America, one in South America, one in Europe. And we had sort of set it up to be like kind of region specific. So if you're in Europe, you're playing on the European servers, North American servers. But it seemed like people, I mean, there were people that like, I'm in New York and I have a friend that lives in London and I can't play with them. And so actually just as an experiment this afternoon, we kind of reconfigured just the server side of things so that basically right now everybody's playing on the same server. So it should be a lot easier for people to find games. And also now people can play, worldwide. So you can play people from other countries and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. It's kind of an experiment because it's possible that if somebody's playing like on a North American server from Australia, like they might have terrible ping times, but we're kind of keeping an eye on it.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Are there any other future fixes or changes that you guys are looking into?
Just kind of general. I mean, this is the first time we did a lot of testing on the game, but this is the first time that we're really getting any data back on like, particular levels that maybe seem too easy or too hard. So like when we do the next update, we'll probably do a tiny bit of rebalancing just in case there's any kind of things that stick out like that. And we're definitely, like I said, we're going to do some kinds of content updates. Like I think we're going to add in, we have split screen, right? Like split screen racing. And I think we're going to add in a team racing mode. So you can, when you're playing in split screen, there's like AI racers also. And so we were thinking of making it so that you could team up. So like the human players could play against the AI players, for instance.
That'd be neat.
Yeah. So it's kind of more of like a co-op game.
Have you thought about doing anything like that, but with online, like having an online crew or like a team of like 4 can take on a team of 4, and it doesn't have to be all synchronous online, but like people put their times in and they're compared against another teams and bragging rights.
That would be cool. That's probably not in the next update, but that is definitely something that we've thought about for future updates.
That's like in Renegade 2.
Yeah. But I think stuff like that is cool where you have kind of like a guild and you can kind of like build on each other's and maybe you get some kind of bonus for being in a team like that. That would be tight.
Riptide RPG.
Exactly.
Instead of random battles, it's all handled with races. Exactly. No lie, I would buy the shit out of that game.
You know what? That's like a 3rd or 4th idea that you've given us now.
See, I'm a gold mine here.
You are like a fountain of ideas.
Of really, really stupid ideas. Have you guys considered for either an update or DLC or anything like amping up the ridiculousness of the game, kind of like Trials Fusion did with their Super Max with like rainbow unicorns and crazy stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to add, I think, more characters. We're actually already working on a new Hydrojet, and we'll probably add a new character with like a sort of whole side quest where you can kind of like unlock and find that character. And that character, I mean, people seem to really like, I don't think you've gotten there yet, but there's like a couple of characters that you meet about halfway through the game that are just kind of ridiculous, and people seem to like those. So I think if we do another new character, it'll be more on the ridiculous side and less on the serious side.
Because I think this would be a good cross-game promotion with the guys behind Starwall, where instead of a Hydrojet, you're riding a friggin' narwhal, a purple narwhal.
That would be awesome. Or like a inflatable dolphin.
And exactly. Or you could take a cue from the old Wave Race game and have like a sarcastic announcer. Like, wow, you did a backflip. You must be proud of yourself.
Maybe we could license like Mike Judge to do Beavis and Butthead Returns. They could just like comment.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Nice flip, dumbass.
Exactly.
You crash and it explodes. You're like, fire.
Fire!
That was cool.
See, there you go. That's like a fifth idea.
I know, see? And then, of course, you have, like, the easy stuff to do, like big head mode.
Yes, we actually do have big head mode in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit, how did I miss that?
Yeah, it's a code you have to enter. It's actually the Konami code, except instead of at the end, you basically just hit on PlayStation, the X button.
Just on the main menu?
On the title screen.
I gotta find this.
So it's like up, down. What is it? Up, up, down, down, left, right, I think, and then the X button.
Is there a way to tell that you did it?
Yeah, it makes a like a power-up sound.
Oh, well, I have my TV muted, so I can't hear if I did it.
but you'll know once you do it. And then it basically, it just puts the whole game into big head mode.
I'm going to do a challenge mode to see if I just unlocked it without listening. Oh my god, I did. Oh my god. That's fantastic. What other crazy shit did you put in the game?
That was like probably that was kind of a last minute thing where we were like, we got to put big head mode in this. Like, how can we not do that? So we've been thinking about other stuff, because that's another thing that people seem to have really liked is the big head mode. So, so we've been thinking about other stuff that we could do like that. Like, I don't know, different kinds of like maybe rendering, like some kind of weird, like invert or like cartoon render or something like that. Or, maybe we could do something with the physics where it's like, I don't know, all the water turns to ice or something.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. See, you're a step ahead of me. I have an idea, and you're like, it's already in the game, dick.
Already done. Boom. That's how quickly we respond.
That is fantastic. Have you like released that to the world that big head mode is in the game, or did you just kind of confirm that for the first time here?
It has been. We did like a PlayStation blog last Monday or something like that. Like, I think it came out this Monday where we mentioned it. So it's still not totally widely known, but.
Well, by announcing it on this show, it will stay not widely known. Oh my god, that is beautiful. I am so happy that that's in the game. That's fantastic.
You can just play the whole game that way.
I'm going to now. Do you have to put it in every time you start the game, or does it stay unlocked?
No, you have to put it in each time.
That would make, that would make sense. Now you just need a full-blown cheat menu in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. There are actually, so there's a few insignia, like a few special sort of decals or insignia that are basically locked, and the only way to get those is with like a special code. And those we're thinking of maybe, like, we'll probably distribute some of those codes like through giveaways and stuff like that. But
like a download code or a button code?
No, like like a number sequence. Like if you go to the support page, there's a in the settings menu, there's like a place where you can enter codes, and so that's for these things and also for future content that you might be able to unlock.
Oh, are you gonna tell me one off the air?
Yeah, I can tell you one off there.
Sweet. I'll be the cool kid who has the symbol that no one else does.
Exactly.
Like, where'd you get that? And be like, you should listen to my podcast. And then they listen and they don't hear it. And then they're like, it wasn't on the show. And I'm like, fuck you. You listen to my show.
You didn't tell me anything.
And that's the way we like it. Zero information. Well, I know we tackled pretty much all the questions I had. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with the game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we're like I said, we're real excited about it coming out next week on on Shield TV and Apple TV, and I mean, the console versions are still like the highest quality versions. Like the mobile versions, like Apple TV and Shield TV, are a little bit like, streamlined, but they're also going to be a little bit cheaper. Those are going to be $10 instead of $15. And then, continuing to release out there. We're definitely, the best way to get in touch with us is on Facebook, probably, and also Twitter. Like, we're pretty responsive on both of those. And we've been pretty engaged in the Steam community forums, too. So if people have, like, ideas for DLC, or if, if they run into any issues with the new online server configuration or any of that kind of stuff, we love to get any kind of feedback people have. As we come forward, we're just going to collect all those ideas. I already got, like, 5 from you.
I expect to see a special thanks in the Xbox version now.
Oh, yeah.
All this gold I'm giving you guys.
It's pure gold.
Is the next step going to be like a VR mode for the game?
We kind of feel as though our game is probably, like, if people sometimes get seasick from VR, like, they would definitely get seasick from our game.
So that's a confirmation you're working on it?
It's something
that sounds like a reason for doing it to me.
Exactly. It would make great viral video. Just people all over their computers.
And the best video wins a free copy of the game.
Exactly. To give to your mom.
Perfect. They get free vector unit games for life. Every game from that'd be a great contest. The best vomit video wins. There's your 6th idea. You're welcome. Well, Matt, it has been fantastic having you on the show again. The game is great. I can't wait for it to come to Xbox later in August so I can get my hands on it and use a controller I don't hate. As always, you are welcome back anytime. It is always a blast talking with you.
Cool. Well, yeah, you too. Thanks very much for having me on.
And do you have any final words to end this episode?
Other than just go out there and play Riptide Renegade, that's what I got.